Would that be accurate? Oh, and Abby. Oh, good Lord.
Stephen didn't say he wasn't gonna be here. I can drop it.
Okay.
He was Val's.
All right.
Stephen.
Oh, great.
Did not, but you know what? I was on the back nine, so maybe she was
Ah.
in the front. Oh, sorry.
Steve. Hey, Steven.
How you doing?
Who is? Abby's coming in. Thank you.
Is your mic's on?
Make sure your mics are all on and playing towards you, please. Here.
Let's make sure.
It's trouble.
It is trouble.
Wow, okay, so we're getting,
Diane.
hey, Abby, that's your seat, dear.
No, you can't add a motor to the AC. but,
Okay.
Maybe I'll just come by and take a look at it. Very slow. Okay. It might be the filter. Oh, you got some new hearing aids? Or did you just get batteries?
It's 100, oh, Val's missing, right. Yeah, okay. Val's the only person up. Okay, I'm gonna get this meeting started. Everybody, welcome to the meeting of the Nantucket Historic District Commission. Oh, I should have asked, are we live? Okay, thank you. It's Tuesday, the 20th of July, 2021 at 5:05. And present at today's meeting are Diane Coombs, Abby Camp, John McLaughlin, myself, Ray Pohl, Jesse Dutra, Stephen Welch, Carrie Thornwell. The only person missing right now is Val. We have a couple of things that we'd like to get straight before we get started, and that is anyone who wants to record any portion of tonight's meeting with their own machinery should let us know in advance. Thank you. And I don't think we need to talk about being quiet because everybody's so quiet these days. So I'm gonna forego that one. And is there anything else I need to say?
No, you're.
No, I
That's
think
fine.
that's it, right?
For Terry?
Okay. So, yeah, for Terry, because in the other room, people would tend to talk a lot and it would get difficult to hear what was being said at the table. So the first order of business would be to have a motion to approve tonight's. No, sorry, Diane, hang on one second. We do want to modify tonight's agenda.
Yes,
And
Mr.
Kathy,
Chair.
go ahead.
If you can remove under old business for 629, number 15, 6A Maury Lane, new dwelling.
I'm sorry, old business from 629, which one?
Number 15,
Number 15, 6 Maury Lane.
6A Maury Lane.
Remove.
Yep. That
Okay,
application has been withdrawn.
okay, anything else?
That's it.
All right, everybody got that? Number 15 on old business of 629 is removed. Now, could I have a motion?
Oh, I make motion to approve.
All right, thank you, Diane. So this would be the regular board plus, we're gonna go into a rotation because Val is not with us tonight. So why don't we start with Jesse? Jesse, you can sit on this, and because everybody's present and no one's on Zoom, we don't have to do roll call vote on this. So I'm just gonna simply ask for all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Hearing none, we now have an approved agenda. Is there any public comment at this time? Hearing none, we're going to move right along to our consent agenda from which.
Mr. Chair, excuse me.
Yes,
There is one public comment that was emailed to me and it was
Oh.
emailed to you as well. I don't know if you had a chance. to
Which
look at your
one?
email.
I had about
from,
2 minutes to check my email.
Mickey
today.
Rowland. He wanted
It had
Holly
something to do with a house being reviewed by, is that on tonight's agenda?
Yes, yes.
Where is it on the agenda?
It's number one on the agenda. In that circumstance, I think it was just, it just fell off our radar for them to review
Number one on which agenda?
on old business. It's 46 Easton Street. It's an older application. Last time you reviewed it was in December of 2019. But it
Oh,
just,
so it already has a board.
yes, and it just fell off the radar to add to HSAB's.
Okay, so you're saying that this has been reviewed before, but it's never been reviewed by HSAP.
No, I believe it has, but it didn't go back again to them. And I believe that was because it fell off our radar.
46?
Yes.
Okay.
But he just wanted to make a general statement
Yeah,
about.
because
the advisory
theoretically,
votes.
under public comment, there's no deliberation.
So he just wanted to make a general statement through Holly.
Okay.
Yes. Is that
Oh,
act-
Holly, do
actually?
you want to speak on this?
I get, is it okay if I read it into the record?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So this is to Ray Pohl, Chair HDC. This is regarding HSAB review of old business applications. I have been informed that the decision of whether or not to send old business applications to the HSAB for review is at the discretion of the HDC.
Correct.
You have an application before you for the demolition of a historic structure at 46 Easton Street, which we have not recently had the opportunity to review. I believe that HSAB has been a very valuable asset to the HTC in its review of applications in the Old Historic District. We are able to focus on a small set of applications each week, allowing us to review them in depth. Our group has extensive knowledge of HTC issues and how they relate to the historic character of the core area of Nantucket Island. When needed, we research specific buildings prior to the meeting or contact preservation groups such as NPT for additional information. This is a critical area that deserves the in-depth review of HSAB can provide. I am requesting that every application that the HDC reviews, whether new business or old business, receives HSAB review prior to HDC review. We meet every Monday, so there shouldn't be any significant delays in the review process, if any. Periodically, a Monday holiday may prevent us from meeting prior to the next scheduled HDC meeting. In those cases, HSAB may be able to schedule a special meeting if properly noticed. If not, then I am requesting that those applications be held until HSAB has had an opportunity to review them. The historic core of Nantucket is too important to let exponentially replace proper review. Thank you for your consideration of this important issue. Mickey Rowland, HSAB Chair.
Okay,
Thank you.
I know what I'm going to do on this. So everybody's heard what Mickey has to say as a member of HSAP. This involves two things. One, a specific application, which is 46 Easton Street, which we do have an established board on. So we're going to be able to take up that part of his memo and deliberate on it at that time, because that's an application. As regards the other issue of like moving forward and what our policy would be with regard to sending stuff back to HSAB after they reviewed it for the first time, that's something that we'll have to put on under other business as a more general thing. So I think we can handle Mickey's thing in two ways. One, as part of the specific discussion as relates to 46 Easton, which is going to be up on the agenda shortly. And two, as a more general thing that we should probably put under other business so that we can discuss and deliberate and vote on it. But so that's that. Now, we're going to move along to the consent agenda from which I need to recuse. All right, as do you, Carrie?
Well, I just can't sit on it.
That would be a recusal, yes. So Abby, you're going to be chairing this.
Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So move.
Thank you, Diane. All in favor of Diane's motion? Anyone opposed?
No.
Okay, that passes.
I didn't hear too many ayes, but So, okay,
She did the there being unopposed approach.
okay.
Yeah.
I guess that's
Carried
good.
unanimously.
All right. Thank you, Abby. Next up, so that was consent. We have consent with conditions. 4 items. And let's see, rotation would bring us to Stephen. You want to sit on this one, Stephen, and then it would be the regular board plus Stephen.
Sure, motion to approve consent with conditions.
All right, very good. On that motion, all in favor?
Aye.
You in favor of consent with conditions? Yes. Okay, consent with conditions carries. Anyone opposed? Sounds like it carries unanimously. Okay, very good. Now we're to signs. And on the signs, let's have Carrie review all of the signs, of which there are 3. What can you tell us about these, Kathy?
So number 1, 13 Center Street was health representation.
Okay, can I have a motion?
Motion to hold 1.
Okay. We're to the first sign application, and that was a motion to hold, John. So did you give me a motion to hold, Diane?
Yeah.
Thank you. So Diane's made a motion to hold for revisions. On that motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Yes.
13 Center, yes. So that was to hold, okay? Okay, next, 81 Hinsdale,
The wall sign was held for revisions.
okay,
Oh. Motion to hold number 2, which is the wall sign.
very good. Same board, all in favor of Diane's motion?
Aye.
Aye. Number 2 is to hold as well. You're in favor of that? Okay, how about the third one?
And then that one was approved.
Motion to approve number 3, entrance sign.
Okay, very good. All those in favor of Diane's motion to approve? Aye. Any opposed? None? Okay, that's it for our signs. That was exciting. New business, we have Linda up at 83 Eel Point Road, rooftop solar. In the rotation, we are now back to Jesse. Is that okay?
Yeah, no, that's fine.
All right. No, it's okay. No, tell me. No, so that was held, and that was approved. Hold, approved. What are we looking at? Oh, thanks. Oh, right, rooftop solar. Oh, yes, this is our remand, right?
Nope,
Oh,
not a
it's
remand.
I'm sorry.
That's the difference. Linda Williams for the applicant. If the selectman had remanded it back, this would be an entirely new hearing. It is not. The selectman actually overturned the HDC. And we are coming back because we need a clean approval sheet signed because the old approval sheet has a big denied across it. So what we've also opted to do is plant more along the road than was originally asked for. We're going to plant to the west of the driveway as well as that turn in the driveway, and then plant to the east of the driveway to the other driveway for the parents' house. So we're going to augment the plantings. We're going to replant some of the cedars and everything else that's on the property that we can move up, and then we'll augment it with natural vegetation. We're not required to do that, but we made representations at the appeal that we would agree to plant more along the road. And there's a natural berm there from, I guess, when they used to plow the road. There's a natural berm there along the face of the property.
Hey, Linda?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm still thinking about this, like, so it wasn't remanded, it was overturned.
Yes, which means that we
Also,
get the
that-
permit, but we have to come back to you guys to get a new COA signed because you can't use the old COA.
Well, if something's overturned, our
says-
approval is superseded by something.
It is, but we wanted to agree to more planting with
I
you
mean, I'm-
guys
I'm not,
and get a clean COA signed.
I understand.
And I didn't, that can't be done in the office.
All right. Okay, does everyone understand the new proposal in front of us? This is We are. Oh, sorry.
You're going too fast. I know. They've got a copy of it in front of them.
We're reviewing them now. So you're on this. This is rooftop solar. Okay, so. So that was it for your presentation.
Yeah, and you've got the pictures. I took new pictures out there.
So basically, the difference between this, and not that we should be comparing with what came in before, but my recollection is that were they going to be doing the berm planting?
I believe there's a berm there. We'll just plant on it.
Well, no, in the prior.
There was a berm and they were going to augment the berm and they were going to plant to a certain point, but we're agreeing to plant to a more extensive point. It was only going to go east of the driveway, which is right there above your heads.
I sort of remember that. Okay. So there's no HSAB or anything on this, so I'm going to ask that the board members who are sitting on this comments.
Well, I would. take a stab at it.
Yes, that would be great. Abby. Thank you. Hey, let's do this. So Jesse, why don't you move, keep that one. And then Diane, have that one right there. We're just gonna get you a microphone so each person. Okay? How's that? Okay.
I haven't said anything yet.
Well, maybe that's why she didn't hear
So-
anything.
So if I was going to approve this,
Okay.
it would be, first of all, because of their intention to berm and screen it from the street, but I wanted to, I'm worried about a precedence here on the front of the house. And, we all know that Eel Point is a very open terrain. And I would say, okay, because you have tried so hard to make it adjust, it wouldn't be for every house.
It's
So
particular to this property in
yeah,
this
so-
situation.
And I voted against this before because it is so open. It does have a dark roof. It is covering the whole plane of that. So it's got some things in its favor.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you, Abby. Diane, you have anything to say?
I am not for it.
Okay,
It takes our recommendations for solar panels not into any consideration. And they never made any attempt to do any of the stuff. So I would be nodding for it.
okay. Well, you're allowed to not be for it. That's part of
Okay.
being on this board. Okay, thank you. Diane, how about you, Jesse?
I'm not concerned about it. It's out of historic district. It's 300 feet off the road. It's a black asphalt roof. It's one of the smaller buildings out there in North Point. And honestly, if I was driving by, I don't even know if I would pick up on that there's solar there.
All right, thank you. John, any comments on the solar panels on this building? Okay. For reasons that have already been mentioned, the fact that it's single story, the fact that it's low relative to most of the buildings, and the roof form, by the way, is extremely, extremely uncomplicated. So it'd be very easy to lay black panels on top of a black roof here, and I appreciate the fact that the applicant in this case is now willing to supplement the planting along the street. That was kind of the main thing we were sort of hoping to get the last time around, but here we are, we seem to be getting it. So I'm okay with this. Can we have a motion of
May I
some?
ask a question?
Yeah, of course, Jen, Steve.
Does your rationale include that it is some 285 feet from the street?
It does.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to be clear, yes. Thank you for saying that, Stephen. Okay, can we have a motion on this?
Motion to approve with the new berm and the screening of the, I don't know how many trees that is. Are they black pines or,
Evergreen
something.
We'll take what's out there and then augment it.
planting.
yeah, something that's
Natural vegetation.
right. And any other things we have to add to that?
I don't think so.
The- So the
I think it-
proposed,
I think it can be approved that way.
okay, that's my,
Okay, thank you, Abby.
Motion.
Thank you for the motion. Let's just do this the simple way. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. I believe that was 4 in favor, 1 opposed.
Thanks.
Thank you, Linda. We'll see you later.
Just
Yes.
give me that and I'll fill in what we have to do.
Okay, so we just approved that one, John. All right, next up, Val Oliver. Are we holding that for rep? Okay, so,
oh, motion to hold for representation.
okay, so motion's been made to hold item number 2 under new business for representation. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 8 Wynn Street.
Oops.
I don't think so.
Sorry, do we have somebody here to represent 8 Wynn? Oh. So do you want to speak? Yeah, we may have some questions for you. Oh, so it's a demo.
Yes, Ray.
Yeah, and
You were on.
well, so, yeah, it doesn't look old. Do we have any vintage? date?
78.
78, okay. Oh, I should say who the board is on this. So let's see. Stephen, you're on this one. Okay. All right, I'll cut to the chase. Does anybody have any issues with demo move off of a building that was built in 1978?
Which building are we talking about? Is that 8 Wynn Street?
Sorry?
What building are we?
Oh,
talking-
yeah, this is 8 Wynn Street.
Okay,
Correct.
Yeah.
That was just a clarification, Diane?
yeah, that's all. It just,
Okay. Anybody have issues? Yes. Oh, yeah, but we're on 8 Wynn Street. now. That's this one. Take this away. So this is Dick Arnold. He wants to demolish this building. Built in 1978. Okay. Comments? Anybody?
Make a motion to approve.
Demo move off?
Yes.
All right. So board members, you know who you are. Stephen, you're on this, plus the regular board. Unless there are no objections, I'm going to take a vote on Abby's motion. All those in favor of Abby's motion to approve the demo move off of this 1978 building on Wynn Street, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed?
Diana.
Oh, it's
You
either
in favor?
demo or move, so it might not move anywhere.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you in favor? It's a big stroke. I believe that motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Thank you. You're all set. Yeah, thank you. Dick. Okay,
Down to-
now here's the one that was mentioned under, we're down to this old business right now, John. Oh, and that was approved. This one? Wynn Street, we just approved that, we said, okay. That's got it. And John, you're not on the next one. This, now these all have boards established. So we're here. Mhm. No, that's gonna be, oh, Linda, you again. Where's Linda? Oh, she's, wow, that's so funny. Boy, there's two Kathys here. I'm so used to Kathy handing all this stuff out. He threw me for a loop. Boy. Okay. So.
You ready?
Linda, the board on this, I'm sure you know, is
Yep.
myself, Abby, Val, who is not here, Stephen, who is here, TJ, who is not here, and we have as an alternate Dutra,
Yep.
Jesse Dutra, who is here. So that means that you have a total of 4 members on this. Are you okay moving forward with 4 people?
Oh, Ray, I don't believe you can sit on this.
What? I can't? Oh,
No,
no, which one is this?
46 Easton.
Wait, does it?
Well, pull.
Oh, boy, this is too much. Oh, yeah, this.
Because we thought we had 4
It's Lisa's
because of
project,
Val.
But, you know, there is a little bit of a conflict
I
there.
thought we okayed
God.
this.
No, I'll back it. I'll just give, I'll
Hang
answer HSAB's issue and that will let you know whether you're going or
Fine.
not.
Time out. So,
No, she can read back in.
yeah, so.
Val
you
can
have-
read back in.
I'd like to read back in.
You've missed,
If,
Uh,
I don't know why,
okay, I shouldn't be saying any of this, but I'm just gonna say this informationally, all right? Val could read back in, TJ obviously cannot. Diane, it does not appear that you were on the original board, so you wouldn't be able to read
Okay.
back in. Here, Abby.
I got 3 right now.
Let's let Abby chair this, okay? So right now, there's 3 people, right?
Yep.
Abby, Stephen, and
Jesse.
Jesse, right. So you know the drill. That's a quorum. You could theoretically move forward, or you could wait for to have one of the other former members read in.
I only have
moving
one
myself,
former
and
member
I'm
that can
handing
read
it
in,
over
and
to
that
you.
would be Val. So I'll go with the 3 that I have now. As far as what HSAB had to say, they misrepresented what we're doing, first off. Second off, they don't get stuff back unless you send it back. That's the way the policy has always been. They don't get anything back automatically on anything unless you send it back to them, and the delays are already too extensive. So all having said that, what we are doing is not moving the building, and we're not demolishing the building. End of story. So what we're doing is taking it back to what it was when it was living at 7 Cliff Road, which is in the packet that I just handed you. So you'll see the picture of the original structure before it was moved down in the late 1800s to where it is now at 46 Easton Street. So we have a different ownership. Now there's one owner who was part of the original application, and they want to save the building the way it is. So we're just asking to take off the later addition. Carrie, are you sitting on this? We're taking off the later addition, which was put over the top of the original house, because I've also in my packet that I gave you, show you the pictures of the roof still intact of the original 4-square structure, where they just slapped this thing on the side in order to get a kitchen and a couple of bedrooms. But when you go into the interior of the structure, they're at a different jam. There are different sort of heights. There are different ceiling heights. There's all kinds of stuff in that addition. So we'd like to take that later addition off it that was put on when they moved it down to 46 Easton and take it back to what it was and not move it. So that's where we are at the moment. Nothing fancy, no other structure like was proposed before, and no moving the structure like it was before. We had a much far more extensive presentation the first time, and all the historical information is in droves in this file. So it wasn't that we submitted something without all the pictures from the water, from the air, from the road, extensively documenting the existing structure, including the addition, as well as documenting the original structure before it moved. So that's all we're here for, is to take off the later addition and leave it where it is right now and put windows pretty much where the addition's coming off. Eventually, but not right now. Yeah, when it comes time, after we start rehabbing the existing structure, which needs a lot of help, it's been inundated with water. The foundation is crumbling underneath it. We've got lolly columns down there at the moment because it just, all the water from Brant Point goes through this house because the bulkhead was buried years ago by sand. And so eventually we'll be back in to pick it up and put it on a new foundation, breakaway panels, helical piers, things like that. And we will be adding on to the part of the building going back towards Easton Street. But that's a project down the road as soon as we stabilize the existing structure.
Okay, so you're not moving the structure and you're taking off the one.
That
addition
piece.
That
Yeah.
keeps it from being a really good looking house.
Yeah.
Would anybody like to go first?
I'll go.
Okay.
I just want to get a little more information, ugliness of the newer addition aside. Did we ever date that?
It was put on, it moved down in the 1800s or late 1800s, early 1900s, and it appeared, the first thing I can find, there's the original structure.
Right.
The first thing I can find of it is 1938 aerial. That's the earliest we can find. So it was put on somewhere after it moved down there.
Okay, the addition itself.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the
And it was
lumber-
just literally slapped on it because it's got a different foundation. It's got different windows. It's got, it's over the top of the existing roof. So it got on there somewhere after it went down there because they had to make it livable. And they wanted to add more bedrooms and a kitchen because that's where the kitchen is at the moment.
Okay.
It's kitchen is about 10 by 10.
And so did we, I think my take on this is that, and I know we're not tying this to a future decision, but I will state, if I'm sitting on it, my decision will reflect upon these comments. And those comments are that, as we have in the past with an historic structure where there's an addition that is a borderline towards the historic spectrum, we look to try and represent in some way or echo the silhouette. And I understand that this is an atypical type of a addition, but I do think that with respect to the presence in that setting, having some echo of this would be an important in the future design. So I just wanted to make that comment. The lift and other elements are not in front of us now. Those are things we would have to review, whomever is sitting at the time. So those are my only comments. Thank you, man.
And we have an owner that's really in love with this structure. So I think anything that happens to it is going to be in keeping with the existing structure.
Well, one other comment, if you don't mind. The character and nature of the home is a historic structure. The original historic structure, I think, will be better represented in and of itself without the addition. I'm not trying to take away from the fact that there is an addition from the late 30s, but the historic structure, the original historic structure, will better be represented without that kind of large obstruction on the side of it. Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you.
Jesse, what do you think?
I see no problem with removing this part. And the only thing is, why wouldn't we just look at it all in one application with the addition down the road?
I think because, in order to do the design of this, it would really help to know what comes to be incorporated. I need to go through the effort of designing something and have you say that he's not.
It's a very complicated situation, trying to sister into the existing structure, making sure it's architecturally appropriate for that structure. And we need to know that we have the original 4 walls that we're working with.
Right. Do I hear a motion? Or do you want more information?
Is it just the 3 of us?
Yes.
Okay. Did you want to comment?
I think it's in good hands. And I think it's probably going to move forward in a very sensitive manner. So I think taking off the addition, that it really just does look like an addition and nothing to do with the original structure. So I'm okay with this.
Okay, so I would agree with your comments and make a motion to approve as submitted.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 And it passes.
Thank you very much. And obviously we'll be back to you and back to HSAB again,
Right.
so they can have another go at it. Yeah, we got to go to the state. We've got to get through DEP, Concom. There's all kinds of stuff involved with this. If we don't move it, if we moved it, we wouldn't have as much trouble.
Okay, thanks. Next up, Linda Williams hour. Okay, 61 Fairgrounds, Lot B. Board on this one, myself, Diane, Stephen, Carrie. Okay,
If you recall, we had 7 structures, Mr. Chairman, on this. It was that subdivision. We had 7 structures total.
yep.
This was
remember?
the structure that was the one that had the biggest face on Parker Lane.
Yep.
And you asked us to drop the addition another foot or so, and we did that, and we changed a few other minor things. So we changed the eaves, and we changed the height of that rear addition.
Okay, so the foot or so is off of the ridge height, is that correct?
Yeah, and I believe the eave dropped as well, and you could have done it
Oh,
through
the
staff, but you wanted
eave.
to see it first.
Okay, the eave dropped as well.
Yeah,
Okay, so that's good.
you wanted
Rather
more of a
than- so the
differentiation.
Roof pitch remained the same. You just
You just-
drop the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's difficult because this is a modular also.
No,
Yeah, you
okay.
know.
we're aware. Okay. Thanks, Linda. Comments from the board. Carrie, any issues here? Any comments? Want me to come
Is
back?
it
to you?
8, is it 28 and a half feet tall or 28? Yeah, it's 28.6. It says 28 and a half feet.
I'm gonna
So is
Yeah.
that
measure it.
28.6?
28.6.
Okay, it'd be nice to have it.
Linda, that's interesting. I put a scale to this. It's actually 29, almost 29 and a half.
It's not, because we had trouble with the scale because we were trying to print it and it came out 48 inches by 36 on the big machine. And I spent 2 hours trying to rescale it, but it is 28.6 and the back is 24.6. We got it as close to scale as we could go up and down on the copy machine.
Okay. So, folks, everything on this drawing is slightly larger than,
You should have seen it before I reduced it.
sorry to interrupt, but Carrie. You wanna continue?
Yeah, I just am concerned that one of the main street sides, the Parker Lane side, is still so sort of massive feeling, yeah, and long, and I don't know what to do about it, but
Did you see the landscape plan when we came in with the driveways? There's a substantial landscape plan in the file already for this one,
it would be
all the way
nice to
across
have
the
it.
street side. It's
Yeah.
tall ones.
North?
And
Yeah,
that's all you asked me to do.
Mhm.
Do we- Ray, could we get a site plan so we could see?
It's on the front page.
relative to Parker Lane?
Oh, well, on the front page here,
I
Diane.
have it on the front page.
So Parker is here.
I know, but I wanted to know what was beyond Parker on either side. This comes Parker.
Oh, so more like a locus.
Yeah,
Because this was a subdivision, I believe that there's one of your lots is here and certainly one or more of your lots are here.
If you look
You
at
have
that,
the Locust plan?
if you look at that, it's all in the pile. If you look at that, behind it, we've
Right.
already approved one house and
Well,
That's
and a
not-
cottage.
No, what Diane is looking for is the locust plan, so she can see the context.
It's in the file.
but
Well,
it
the
should be
file,
on
what we have
on
in
our
front of us-
application.
No,
This is a third here.
okay. She's
And all you
asking
asked me to do was drop that rear
Linda,
addition.
She's asking for information.
Context helps a lot.
It's in the main file. I don't know if it's over there.
Holly, is that, who's taking care of the scrolling? Is that you?
Yep.
Is there a locus anywhere, like on a previous or anything?
Right
Yeah,
there.
You have one. Is that one?
Oh, you do?
You'd have
Yeah.
to go back into
Oh,
the
okay.
file, Holly, back into the original.
Oh, but you know what? Is that just for the one lot or is that for the whole?
It's for the
subdivision?
whole, it looks like it's for the whole 61. From
Yeah.
Parker Lane going up here and Fairgrounds Road going here. That's what I wanted to see was how
Okay.
close
Well, this
You're-
is the one we need.
Yeah.
This shows
11
the whole
Parker
thing.
Lane
Right.
was
Hey,
to,
Diane,
yeah.
take a look at that.
That's the, shows the house.
I think the only thing we did, Mr. Chairman, is do what you asked us to do the last time after the third time you saw it.
I can't disagree with Carrie's comment though, but.
But you also asked us to do a planting plan, which I believe is on that site
Yeah.
plan. And
It's not.
it was on the hardscape plan.
Yeah, it's just very generic. We don't know what.
Am I crazy or is this, does not look like that?
So this is the entire thing here.
Yeah.
Okay, so this
See
is
how
just
that's
one,
that?
yeah, that's
And so
that.
what we're looking at is.
It's
this
just the
one.
baby part.
Yeah, so it's
Okay.
One of 4 lots.
Yeah.
Right.
No, so this is 16. This is
This, okay.
So these
Too
we
many.
have, I don't know if we've approved them or haven't seen them yet.
What? We approved everything but this structure.
Okay.
All 6 other structures, including the cottage.
These are all approved. We're
Right.
just working on this corner one.
Okay, all right, it makes sense now. Thank you, thank you.
Okay, any comments, Diane?
No, I was trying to look at the whole lot with all those houses on it.
Mhm.
And I just was thinking that the house, this one on the corner of Fairgrounds and Parker, seems to be very big and very similar to the one on the full other side. And it's at 28. I would just like to see it a little smaller and fit in to that area of Fairgrounds Road, which has not quite so many houses on one lot because the parking and all the rest comes in the back of Parker Lane. And actually, it is, the apron is bigger than the one on Fairgrounds. So I don't, know. My only feeling is I would like to see the building brought down somewhat.
Okay, thank you, Diane. Let's see. Stephen,
Sir, so, well, it's kind of wild since we looked at this, right? This is like
has been.
March, maybe?
April or May.
March, maybe?
Okay. just
April 4th, March 1st, somewhere in there.
Clear the COVID thought out of my head.
Mm,
I think my recollection then, as it is now, and looking at this and noting that there are unfortunately some pretty tall structures within, on the set, within their setback and generally close proximity to the road, is that the landscaping is going to be critically important to creating some screening for this without creating a alleyway on the corner. And what I mean by that more specifically is trees. I know Linda's applicant's agent has mentioned a landscape plan came in. So that is, I think, my primary concern, noting that I don't disagree. I think it's tall, I think it's big, but I think this is where housing that area is and it's heading, unfortunately. I think that the changes to the roof, the ridge height of the secondary mast is helpful. If it could be lowered a little bit more, I think that would be helpful. And I won't mention meeting rails. And I would want to have the landscape plan that was approved transcribed to the approval of this drawing, this application's drawing for a final approval. I'm not suggesting that if we were not to approve it tonight, we delay this for any length of time. I think it's- Given there is a landscape approval, I'm aware of one. I don't recall sitting on it, but I would ask that it would be transposed to the site plan and brought in here just so we can all refresh at the next meeting, and if it's approved tonight, then that is. But I'm not looking to draw this out for any length of time. The landscaping here is going to be a critical.
Yeah, we knew that on this one.
Yeah, I mean, critical, and you know that.
I can do it through staff, but you guys have already seen it on an earlier edition in this file, actually.
Right.
It's in the file here.
Okay, so that's, I mean, those are my thoughts on it, and others may not. Agree, but I think it's pretty reasonable to ask.
Thank you, Stephen. So Linda, I pointed out the one inconsistency with respect to the scaling of this drawing versus what its dimension.
Right.
There's another inconsistency, and that is, or at least one other inconsistency on the site plan here. Main mass is labeled as 40 feet in length.
It's not.
Well, it's not. It's labeled as 36,
Yep.
which is 4 feet better than 40.
Yep.
However, when I drop a scale on this, understanding, of course, that none of this stuff is completely to scale, which is unfortunate, I'm measuring it at 39 feet.
36. It's, they're boxes. They're coming
But-
modular.
okay,
I'll
but
fix it.
there's- You know, so this is the point, is we're looking at the drawings and they're reading as 40 feet, but you're saying they're 36, so they would actually look better if they were indeed 36 feet in length, and it was indeed 28 and a half as opposed to 29 and a half feet tall.
Yeah.
So, you know, those are things that I would like to see cleared up. and
Maybe
have
we should
drawings.
hold it for revision,
Yeah,
so it
and
could
I
be
want to
done.
mention one other thing. The other thing is, so to Stephen's point about the landscaping, what I'm looking at here is, you know, a load of little growy trees on that north elevation, which is all well and good, but we don't know what they are. They seem to be extremely close to the building. And I can't imagine that you're going to be planting tall trees like right smack in front of all those windows. So more clarification on what the landscape is really going to be doing would be helpful in us moving forward on this. So,
It's very difficult to get plans out of Dreamline.
well.
I'm
that's
tried,
their issue.
and they're just
Yeah,
gonna
so
have to
here's-
do it.
Here's the deal on that. Like, I would rather that their problem didn't become our problem.
Yeah, it's pain in the
So-
butt.
So
Not a problem,
we,
is it?
we've voiced what our concerns are, what we'd love to have, and what everybody else in this room submits to us are
Scale drawings.
that are to scale.
Yeah.
You know, plants that are identified on the drawings, you know, stuff like that. So that's what we need to have from them. And so I believe Diane's made a motion to hold for revisions.
I
and
have.
I'm going to take that up.
Do I have to wait another 6 weeks to come back in?
Can we make a very specific sort of thought for these
Yeah.
to bring the ridge down? By
Which
simply
ridge?
Taking out 6 inches from the first floor. height
These are
and 6
boxes, Carrie.
I
And
understand, but I
That's-
think going forward, we can't keep having these huge tall buildings, and Dreamline would be better off if they can figure out how to do 8'6" ceilings instead of 9 and 7'6" second floor ceilings, plate height.
they're not doing that just
instead
for
of
us.
8.
I got to tell you, we've tried.
No,
Well,
no, stop.
It's
Hold
just
on.
difficult.
To Carrie's point, we, as a board, we've come to accept this idea that modular homes, because of the way they come, have a double floor sandwich.
Yep.
They have a first floor that has a foot of ceiling, and they have a second floor that has a foot of flooring, equaling 2 feet rather than the 1 foot
Right.
that a stick-built thing. That we're all well and good with, but Carrie is actually talking about the fact that there's a 9-foot high ceiling on the first floor rather than an 8.5-foot high ceiling.
Right.
Again, you know, everyone else in this room will say, oh, it's too tall, and they'll change it from a 9-foot high ceiling to an 8.6 ceiling. And just because their manufacturing facility doesn't want to do that, doesn't mean that we're duty bound to accept it. We do accept the fact that, you know, modulars have to have this stacked boxing thing. So I am going to take up Diane's suggestion that we hold this for revisions. And I'm sorry if it's taking time, but a lot of people in this room have that same.
It's not
that
our
same issue.
problem this.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
6 months on one house out of 7 is pretty long.
That's-
Okay, well, this is, I think somebody else, Stephen may have said that it's been a long time since we reviewed this. So, maybe we'll see the information come back more rapidly.
Properly.
Okay, so Diana's made a motion to hold this for some revisions. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
You, Linda.
I'm still here, unfortunately.
I noticed. Okay. 11 Pleasant Street, and I remember this one well. This was the window issue.
The only thing you asked me to do was
I
give
know.
you a window schedule, and I've spent 5 hours on it that time. I spent hours on doing the outside before, which is in the file. This is all from the inside measurements, type of window, what's left on the window, whether it's weight and balance or anything else. What we have decided to do, to cut to the chase, and you just approved one like this last week, is to put the plank windows back in the front. There's only 5 left in the front, and they've disintegrated, and the top sashes are not in good shape. We will put the plank windows, single TDLs, single true divided lights in the same openings, same measurements in the front of the building, which is on the street. What we'd still like to do is do the Green Mountain double glazed on the sides and the rear. Now, as I pointed out the last time, and it's very detailed here, the north side had a large turret added, and the south side had a whole wing added, and the rear had a whole rear added. And I gave you all the Sanborn map information in there as well again. And so there's been a lot of mutation of the windows and the sides of the buildings. Fabric was removed, et cetera, not reused in the building when it was taken off. So what we'd like to do, and there's like 7 different sizes of windows. We're going to go back into the same rough openings. We're not changing the location of the windows, and there a lot of them are going to have to be custom made. And we just want to put the double panes on wood windows on the sides and the rear and go back to the single in the front with the plank on them.
Okay.
But every single window is detailed in that thing she's got in her hand.
One copy.
Now, there are multiple copies somewhere.
All right, well, I think so. I'm going to just read through the board on this, so we're all aware. Myself, Diane, John, Abby, and no Val, and so Carrie is the alternate, so she can come sit in on this. All right, so I think there's one paper copy which we can circulate.
She's
around, but
running it up
otherwise
there.
We need to rely on the screen here. So, did HSAB review this?
No, they did the first time, but we didn't have as much information. They asked for the window survey.
Yes, Holly.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
No, they did.
They did not, however, I did take a look at this. I just didn't want to remind the commission that this is a typical Nantucket from 1750-ish, now 5-bay with center ridge chimney. So this is a, historic structure, obviously. It would be nice to retain, it's nice to know that the windows aren't changing as far as taking out other historic fabric once you obviously add a window in a new location. So that's nice to know. But obviously retaining the same profile under TDL, Green Mountain that are facing the road and on the sides would be nice.
Okay, thank you, Holly. So, does anyone who's sitting on this have any questions relating to what Linda's alternative proposal is, which is essentially to refurbish the windows that are on Pleasant
No, not
Street?
refurbished, Ray. Some of them are replacement windows and they're falling apart. There's panes out, and I had someone else look at it. And you can't refurbish them. They're going to have to be new
So
Green Mountain.
New sash, but you
Yeah.
said the plank frames are staying?
There's only 5 of them in the front that still have the plank frames. We're willing to put all 9 into plank frame. But the plank frames of the 5 that are there are broken or missing pieces and rotted completely. There's been a lot of water intrusion in most of the windows, even in the newer additions. There's plants growing in them, some of them, and there are sash pieces missing, glass missing. It's pretty much neglected for a great deal of time. And the fact that they allowed water into a lot of these where there are great black mold pieces falling off, you can put your finger in through some of these. There's not enough sash left to rehab. And then there's an awful lot of weight and balance because of the newer additions. Those are all weight and balance. So we want to replace them all where they are. And there's probably 6 or 7 different mutton patterns. There's some flat, wide ones. There's some really skinny ones. Those are the ones that are disintegrated. There are whole sashes missing from some of these. It's an interesting situation. But the front would be new Green Mountain single pane to match, and then we'd reconstruct the planks so it looks original on the front.
And the sides would be insulated glass.
Yeah.
Green Mountain.
Further away from the street.
Okay,
Because a lot of that has already been removed with some of these additions on the north and south.
okay.
Certainly on the rear, the whole rear came off.
All right. Thank you, Linda. Who would like to begin discussion on this one? Great. Thank you, John. Go ahead.
Thank you. I went up when this first started and viewed the whole of this house. And it's visible from the street of travel away, and it is. And about the majority of the sash, whatever, the majority of these windows, as per past actions, they can be salvageable. The way it's written up here that I'm reading is a lot of changes have been made since the application started and today. A lot of stuff has been changed over and not made new. It can be salvaged. Most of those double hungs can be salvaged. That's what I'm saying. It shouldn't just demolish them and put in something that's smarter. Do anything. Use wooden frames. All wood windows in the old historic districts area. That's what I'm saying. What you see in the photo, some of that has been changed over. I'm just saying. To renovate this now, this should be renovated and trying to not destroy it. It's part of the old historic area, and it should be changed over. Something better than what's there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Diane, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess. I thought we weren't going to replace the front windows. I thought we had read before somewhere that the front windows could be fixed
No,
without having, let me just finish, okay? And it says the plank frames to match the existing can be produced by Green Mountain. But I have got pictures here and the plank frames look fine and it's an old building and we're taking all of them out and replace them with new ones does not seem to me what we should be doing. If they are unusable, I would like to get a certified description from a person hired by us to say they were not fixable. The side ones, I thought we were just at one time just looking at 4 side ones that you couldn't see. But now we've gotten down to everything. And it says 6 fixed top sash are fragile, rotted, and cannot be rehabilitated in place and would not survive being removed. They don't look that badly. That's all I can say. I would like to see a more specific on these windows because I think to re-window the whole house, which is an historic house, is not a good thing.
Thank you,
Okay.
Diane. Yeah, thanks. Abby?
My main concern is the front of the house, and I'd like to, maybe you could take a little more time to see if, you know, more of them could be refurbished.
We
And
did.
So I'm concerned about the front of the house, obviously, but the sides where they go back, I think you've labeled them 10 and 13 and 34 and 35 as they go around the corner. So they're right, the first two that go around the corner going back.
10, 11, 13, 14, 15, and then the turret, which was added in the 30s, is the further part back on that front section.
So my point is that, you know, you can see this house also coming up the street and, you know, going down the street. So I think it's important to get the ones on the side towards the front, make them look at historic. I always have to laugh a little bit when I think we're putting in, you know, we're refurbishing these windows, and then we're putting the storm windows on top. One day, we're gonna have to address that. So I don't know that now the storm windows have become part of the historic look.
Yeah,
So,
there's something funny about
there's something, yeah, you just can't.
Will there be no storm windows if we went to the Green Mountain?
Right, and wouldn't that be more historic? So I think that's something we have to talk about at some point.
We'd make wooden storm windows for the front
Could
panels.
always have the internal store window. Where we did a couple of years ago, had somebody who thought they were pretty good.
Well, we're not gonna decide it this afternoon, but, so anyway, I would like to have you see if you can restore some of them. I don't mind the others going to, Vermont, whatever it's called.
Green Mountain.
Green Mountain. And then the sides, those are my main concern.
We did look at the front windows. A couple of them are missing sash completely. And the tops cannot be removed
Well,
unless we
if
destroy
that's
them.
What you say, and if that's true.
They're all detailed in like 5 or 6 pictures per front window. We tried to keep them, but there's nothing to work with. And I did have someone else in that building looking at these sashes. And he said the best we could do would be to return the planks to the front, and not all of them have plank in the front. So we're returning the planks to all 9.
I'm living in a rattling house every windstorm, so don't
Yeah.
tell me.
But also, I got to remind you, you've done this several times. You did it to another one of our projects on the same age of a building at 20 Cliff Road. We returned the roadside, it's, you know, opposite, it's gable to the street. We did all the original single pane Green Mountain windows on the roadside, and you allowed us to go to the double pane Green Mountains on the sides and the rear. And I have to point out that even part of that front is a newer addition. But we're going to do all 9 windows in the front, even though they weren't. That's what I'm saying. Not all of them are plank frame. They're just 5 of them.
Thank you. Want to hear from Carrie on this one.
Well, it seems like there's a ton of windows on this house, and I just have a question for Linda. Are all 9 on the front the same size? And are there other windows on the sides and rear the same size as these? So you have a pile to choose from of which you can refurbish, restore, and replace just the front 9?
No, the side windows are even worse than these.
Yeah.
The side windows the water has come in from somewhere,
Okay.
but they're all rotted. They're black mold. You can just take your finger and break them.
Yeah,
Right.
'cause I am of
We
the
got all that. Let's just hear what.
I
Carrie
am
has
of
to
the
say.
mindset that if the majority of these windows are really unrefurbishable or whatever, that Green Mountain is the closest we're gonna get to an authentic wood, true divided light. You can do the inset storm, and it's a beautiful, authentic, real material window. And that is a good solution for a house that has very few viable windows. And I think it will help preserve the building when your windows are,
Not leaking.
yeah, but I do think that it should all be plank. I think all that should be restored to plank.
Which
On the
side?
front, and the sides that have plank should be plank. But that's what I got.
There aren't a lot of planks other than the front, Carrie. That's what we looked at.
Some on the
Sides, you're saying to
sides.
keep-
On the right side, not the left.
Right. Okay,
north side.
Thank you,
It's
Karen.
also said to be consistent, which I think is wrong.
So I understand the whole issue of rotting windows. You know, I've seen it countless times. And to Abby's point earlier, the SDLs are good because you actually do not have to put the aluminum storm screens on, and therefore the building actually looks a little bit more like it should look historically. So I'd be okay with those on the sides and on the back. On the front, I'm okay with the SDLs,
TDLs.
TDL, thank you. TDLs with the understanding that they would get a fixed inset storm rather than an aluminum storm.
Were you okay with the wood, custom wood storm on the outside?
Yeah, that's what I
Okay.
meant.
All right.
And restoring the entire front to the original plank frame design, which would obviously help you with the storm window, which would be inset. So that's the way I'm looking at this. And I do agree that, you know, sometimes you need to update a house, otherwise it's just going to continue to slide down the hill. And that seems to be the case here. So that's my view. Would somebody care to give me a motion on this?
I would make that motion, but I would also like to see whatever other windows are plank frame on any sides.
Oh, yeah,
to Retain those plank frame, not
Right.
go to all flat.
correct.
Where I can do that, I'll do it. There are very few on the sides, only on the north
Hey,
side.
Saul, on the
North side, I
right-hand
think there
side?
may be two.
Okay,
that are left.
Who's the
Yep.
Rebuild.
windows of the 25, 26, 27? They all look like plank windows to me.
Yeah, the elevations show which ones are blank. Those.
Yeah, I mean,
That's the
it's
side.
as
Right,
plain as
those-
day.
Yeah.
It's
Those
plain as
two.
day
That whole
Which
elevation.
windows are plank frame and which ones aren't? And Carrie,
Oh,
you're
I
just
see.
simply saying if it's
Where
a
they
plank
are.
frame, keep it.
Keep it.
Yep.
If you have to restore it or rebuild it, do it. But
Okay,
it should retain this.
Right.
Yep.
Totally on board. And then as regards the front, all of them,
Mhm.
regardless of what they are now,
Yep.
go to plank. frame.
Right.
Right.
that works.
Okay. So that was your motion, Carrie?
Yes, did you get all that?
Okay.
I want to read it back. So don't press the one.
Yeah, why don't you do that? She's gonna read it back.
She's still typing. So before she starts, Ray, you're okay with the outside storm?
Excuse me,
Okay,
I'll read this back now. Motion approved to staff is using Green Mountain TDL plank frame windows across the front
Yes.
and SDL along the side and rear with plank frame windows to be replaced with plank frame.
Correct. The only thing that I would add to that, Terry, is
Okay.
that the front windows will have fixed storms, not aluminum storms, that they would be fixed wooden frame storms that were set into the plank frame. And that the side windows,
So that's inset storm?
yes, inset into the casing. And the side windows would have no storm screens because they don't need them, and it would be more historic.
No. Rear,
sides and rear.
no storm. Plank frame windows to be replaced.
It's quite a magnificent house inside, but it's interesting because the old wood is still there. It's pretty
Okay,
cool.
We got a motion on the table. Okay, so all those in favor of Carrie's motion, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now we're along to 22 Easton. Anybody here for that?
Motion to hold for representation.
Does not look like it. Okay, so there, what's that?
I'm just, it's very fascinating, but But I'll ask him another time. on the next one.
Oh, okay. All right, so there was a motion to hold, actually, it's gonna be Mirka is not here either, so I guess we're holding both of the 22 Easton Street applications,
Okay, motion
Right?
to hold
just making sure. So,
4 and 5.
right. So Abby has made a motion to hold items 4 and 5 for representation. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Okay, so now we're on to Ethan Griffin at 35 Monomoy. Board on this, myself, Diane, John, Noval, Carrie. That's it. And you were recused.
Thornwell.
or whatever you-
Yes, I think he is.
I'm gonna look at it anyway.
Yeah, he is.
Okay, Ethan?
Ethan Griffin, behalf of the applicant. The, really, most of the comments last time focused on the size of the Juliet balcony, which we are proposing. That's an example that's right down the street. It's fairly sizable. The change from the last renovation is we pulled our dimensions of our Juliet balcony back, so it's a little bit more typical. And we removed some of the, we had kind of a fan, painted white fan detail above French doors, which we've also eliminated. And then the other change was going from double French doors at the balcony with windows on either side to a single French door with windows on either side, which again was a suggestion of the board.
Ethan?
Yes,
So I'm looking at your existing and your proposed.
yes.
And I see things that are bubbled. Now, are those things that are bubbled, things that changing on the existing, or are those changes that occurred since we reviewed it the last time?
Those
Like
are,
this,
this has been adjusted since we were here last. I think we have, there really aren't any substantial changes from the last time we were here. This view didn't change significantly, although that is a change from. I think most substantially is this sheet, which is, that's the previous submission.
oh, okay, well, that's helpful. Yeah, so the most significant change since the last time we reviewed this is seen on 2.2 northwest elevation. And as Ethan said earlier, the big fan light thing has disappeared. The decking, second floor cantilever deck is gotten quite a bit smaller. I think that was it, right? Ethan?
Correct, yeah, those were the
Okay.
substantial concerns of the board.
Thank you. Who would like to start? I'm gonna choose someone. Diane, you want to start?
I haven't even,
Oh, you haven't opened it yet?
I haven't even
Okay.
gotten there yet.
All right, okay. John, how about you, Carrie? You
I
ready?
appreciate the fact that the little balcony has reduced.
Hmm,
It's not that significant. I was hoping to see any landscaping on the street side, just so it is mitigated. I imagine there's something that. Yeah,
the landscaping.
yeah, I think there's some. it's mitigated.
There should be a sheet that's mostly viewed from the street and also the site. It's pretty substantially
Yeah,
landscaped.
it's not- Yeah, I mean, considering what's around there. This is pretty subtle, with the reduction that we did.
Okay, thanks. John, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Front door.
Front door doesn't change. It's right over there.
Found that, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thanks, John. Diane, anything?
I think that the reduction in stuff has been good. I don't think it takes away from the building. And the building is there's not that much being changed, actually. Go over it. So I would go and say it's okay.
All right. Well, I happen to agree with you. So I think that John had no comment. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry, John. Go ahead. Yeah.
HPC 2.2.
Yeah.
Not west side,
Yes.
there's the shed dormer. 3-inch pitch, minimum is 4.
Oh. We caught you out.
Probably something we can accommodate.
I'm sure you can. How would you feel, John, if we approve this conditional on him changing that to a 4 and 12?
Yes.
roof pitch? 4 and 12.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So it sounds like we can approve this with the change in the dormer roof shown on the side of the northwest elevation to a 4 and 12. Somebody want to make that motion for me?
I make the motion.
Thank you, Diane. On Diane's motion, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Hearing no opposition, that motion carries. Thank you, Ethan.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Matt, you're up.
Yes.
Let's see, board on this one. We're at 1 Bloom Street. Myself, Diane, John, Stephen, and because Val isn't here, Carrie can sit on it. Okay? So there we are.
Okay. With your permission, I'll get started, Mr. Chair.
Yep.
All right, so I think east elevation is a great place to start on sheet 8201. So the previous comments regarding the additions to the left side of the east elevation, if you look at the previous submission, we actually had 2 windows on the first floor of that secondary mass and 2 windows on the second floor. You can't really see it in that view, but we basically dropped the plate. It was a full 2-story plate height. We dropped it to 1.5 stories, did a shed dormer with a single window and then 1 single window beneath it. We were able to manipulate the floor plan to put full-size windows on that secondary section. On the piece to the furthest to the left is we basically lowered the plate height. It was excessively high by about 1 foot. So that 1-story mass has been dropped probably about 18 inches or so from its previous incarnation, if you will. And then also we've taken those 2 additive pieces that I've just described to the left of the original portion of the structure and actually shifted them back, more than they were previously. I think they were only set back by maybe about 1 foot. They're somewhere in the range now of about 3+ feet. So I think that the adjustments are, sympathetic. They're definitely secondary additive masses, if you will. The final thing that we did was you had requested that we replace the exterior door trim on the front door that was in a historic photo, which is what we've done there. Moving on to the next sheet, which is A202, which the south and the west elevation are on. We just basically centered on the west elevation. We took the shed dormer and just centered it over the 3 French doors, beneath it. Basically, the existing language of the structure was fairly simple, so we tried to, follow suit. And then we did enclose the open porch as a screened-in porch. It was a request from the owner. Again, this is behind the building, so I'm not sure how visible, if at all, that would be, but it is a 1-story element. So I think that is the extent of the changes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thanks, Matt. HSAP on
Sir, first of all, I want to remind the commission that this is an individually significant contributing structure of 1727 to the NHL and local district. I will also want to remind the commission about building with Nantucket in mind, page 26 specifically, the integrity of the front shall be maintained. Consequently, on pre-Civil War structures, adding bays or other massing interruptions to its plane is not permitted. Any additions to a historic house should be extended from the rear or side wall and kept as inconspicuous as possible. Such additions should harmonize with the massing style and details of the original house. Further, their bulk should not overwhelm the original building size. The facade is most important on this structure, I think, with the additions that are being proposed. The additions to contributing historic dwelling should be sensitive and characteristic of the typical Nantucket pre-Revolutionary War structure. The additive massing should be on the rear of the dwelling and not 24 feet off the side, with only a few feet off the facade. Historically, the addition does not follow form and does not follow building with Nantucket in mind. Those are staff comments. Each staff comments has the following. They reviewed this on July 19th. The proposed additions overwhelm the 1727 house and the simplistic character is lost. The additions are too complex, too tall, and too wide in relation to the main mass. The fenestration and roof lines do not relate to the original simple Quaker architectural style at all. The additions to the cells completely cover the original mass, losing its identity. The additions should all be moved to the rear. This house has been around for almost 300 years and for the most part has maintained its simple character and form. It would be very unfortunate to permanently destroy that character after all these years. Old houses on Nantucket need to be respected and not obliterated beyond recognition in order to create an excessive amount of floor space. Please come back with a new approach that maintains the scale and character of the original house. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, can I just comment? I could wait till the end.
Brief on that.
Just at the meeting, I was there yesterday, and I think some of those comments from HSAB, I just completely disagree with. I think the terms like obliterate the existing structure, I don't think that that's accurate. And then to comment on the excessive amount of floor space, to me, I think is kind of is directed towards ownership. And I think that's a judgment that the HSAB really, I don't think it's necessarily their place to say. So I just think some of the tone of the meeting and the language that they use sometimes I think can take away the focus of what we're here to do. And I just want to say for the record that I just disagree. Thank you.
Okay,
Mr. Chair,
fair enough.
if I may, I just wanted, for the record, I was not at HSAB yesterday, and the
Yeah.
comments that I provided are strictly from staff that I reviewed prior to their even review. They had no idea
Understood.
of my
Yeah,
comments, so
two separate things.
absolutely, yes, sir.
Understood. Yep,
Thank you.
got it. Thanks. All right, who would like to start on this?
I'll start
All right, Diane.
for the
that's great.
first
Go ahead.
time around.
Yep.
I think that in regards to what Hassan was saying, that the existing east is completely obliterated. But except it has the 5 windows and the door, there's no roof walk that I have seen backed up. The little funny tall chimney, which has been in the thing back some length of time, has been taken down, and it happens in the front has been lost by the side growth, which is bigger almost in width than the original front of the house. And so it goes all the way around. I think a house of this age has got to get some respect for what it is. And it was a very simple house on a fairly simple street, Bloom Street. And it is the west elevation. If you put the west elevation up against the existing west, there's nothing that comes anywhere near looking like it. I would like to see the old historic building represented to a much bigger point than this. This is a brand new building with no consideration of the existing building, I think. That's what I have to say.
Okay, thank you, Diane. John, you ready?
Could you bring up the window schedule, please? There you go. With the four lights.
Want to zoom in? There you go. Fixed.
Fixed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, John. Stephen?
Yeah, so thanks, Mr. Chair. I'd like to, Matt, I know this is, it's been here before, it's been a while, but given some of the comments that have been made, it would be helpful to see the floor plan overlay the existing structure and walls that would be relocated with emphasis on the new structure added to the rear, and obviously the sides. Unless I'm missing something, this is a point of information as much as anything else. The historic facade of the front of the home is not being altered, and there is an addition proposed 1.5 story to the left of the front door with a east elevation with a 1-story addition further left of that, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to make sure, because I'm trying to reconcile comments I've heard where
That's,
obliterating the front
Yes.
of the historic structure, which it is, what is proposed, in my mind, is changing the presentation. And depending on how this ends up, it could change the character, which is an important consideration. But there's a difference between that and obliterating the front of the structure, which I'm not suggesting one way or the other on the vote, but I think that's an important distinction. I would tend to suggest, at least with respect to the east, which is the presentation of the structure, you may need to do further simplification. I do think that I do think that the 1.5 story, 1 3/4 story structure changes are helpful. I think that the proportion, this helps with the proportion of the additions, but the first story massing is still too wide. And then the rest of the structure, I mean, I don't think we can have both, right? We can't have our milk and cookies and then not eat them. If we're saying that you're going to have additions on the rear, then you need to be able, historically, that is a norm, to have additions on the rear. That's where changes will occur. Historically, changes occur on the back of the building, but that's subject to the lot configuration. If you look at the fish lots, if you look at the finger lots, you see that the additions are to the rear. On homes on Pleasant Street and some of the wider lots, you'll see additions to the side like this. I think that it would be important for you, given the significance of this structure, to document some of those and the widths. I think we need to be informed better as opposed to my own personal understanding of the history. I'd like to see some documentation of it. And I think ultimately, and I think this part is in good hands without question, is it's going to come down to the detailing
One other element is going to come down to the detailing of the architectural elements. By that, I mean specifically the application of the trim, the styling, whether it's plank or not on the casings to match what's there, the craftsmanship. Again, I think those are in good hands, but I do want to point out that that's an important element of a successful, any successful addition on the structure. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Stephen. Carrie?
I think two-dimensionally, the east elevation is simple. I think the roof walk doesn't seem appropriate on this building when you look at the existing, because that to me changes the character quite a lot. I think the little masses on the right of the existing building add to the, I don't know, the desimplification, and I'm not sure why, because the other side is where the main additions are, but those to me read a lot more traditionally. But I think they should not be so forward, because they are pretty forward, and this main mass really wants to read, and I think some of the windows around the corner also want to be read, maybe even the gable window at the very top floor. So at least you're honoring as much of the main mass as possible. And I take what Stephen says into account is additions happen on the back. And I think you can add to the back, but I also think on the side elevations, maybe not turning gables. You know, you can see the side elevation and then another big gable. That is not a traditional way of adding to a house to the back. The rear elevation, again, there's a lot of gables, but that's where you would add to a house, as Stephen said, and that a little bit more appropriate, but I do think we need to honor more of the existing mass and keep a lot of it exposed. It does seem like we have a large site to work with. We still get, you know, a lot of space back there, but in a more traditional fashion, keeping that whole original main mass on the street side more exposed.
Okay. Thank you, Carrie.
Thanks.
First of all, Matt, I do appreciate the revisions with respect to where you came in originally. I think that, you know, it has been toned down quite a bit. I agree on the north elevation that sort of other gable that's competing with the original gable is somewhat problematic. And also the fact that the fenestration on that new gable is, in terms of an addition onto a, you know, very old house, doesn't seem to like harmonize particularly well. You know, the window up in the gable end window, the two D windows, and then the two teeny tiny B windows underneath that, and this kind of, you know, funny configuration seems very atypical of the traditional architecture of the building. Don't love the roof walk. I appreciate that it's gotten scaled down, but I'm not sure that, you know, fundamentally it should be there. Yeah, and so I'm kind of done. I do think that you're definitely heading in the right direction and close. I agree with most of the comments that have been made. And John has one more comment.
Would you go to the window schedule, please?
It's on here too, John. Which one?
It's fixed.
Oh, that's it?
Mr. Chair, can I just ask one,
Yeah.
I have one thought about the front elevation that if I could get some feedback from the board, that would be great. Is one of the thoughts I had was to actually eliminate the dormer from the second floor mass on the
left-hand
on the
side?
east elevation, and just keep that eve lower, and then maybe have like a smaller, like 6-light transom, not transom, but you know what I'm saying, like a smaller window. So that eve line just runs straight across, so there is no flush dormer.
Well, that would simplify.
Yeah.
I think that's a general not only among HSAB and staff, but board members are looking for some simplification too. There's one thing that I think Stephen was, I think, getting at, the thought that I wanted to kind of complete, which is, right now, the floor plans don't identify existing and proposed
Right.
clearly. And it would be really nice to know what is actually being added onto and what's actually being retained of this building. So
We-
I'd
we
like
can
to
definitely
see
do
in The next go round. Do we have a motion on this
I
one?
have most over revisions.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Thank you.
for the motion, Diane. All those in favor of Diane's motion to hold this for some revisions, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Okay, you got another one here at 37 Fair. Thank you. Board on this, myself, Diane, John, Carrie, Stephen, same board as before. All right. That, John?
I can start whenever you're ready, Mr. Chair.
Yep, go for it.
Thank you. So I think a majority of the revisions to this, or the requested revisions from the board, relate to the rear L addition, and specifically on the north elevation. We previously had an intersecting gable for the rear section, and I think the consensus of the board was to just have it run in the same direction. It's a bit simpler, and I think that definitely works. You also asked us to reduce the amount of fenestration. We had 4 French doors centered on that side porch, and we've limited it to 2, but there was a request. They're trying to get some natural daylight in there, and so there are fixed units. They're not doors, but they are kind of a derivation, if you will, of a French door. Kind of side lights, another way of saying side lights.
They've just gotten scaled down because they went from 3 panes wide to 2, right?
Correct, yeah. And so again, if that's a sticking point, we can go back to, we had drawn as at one point, 2 French, a set of French doors that was flanked by 2 windows, but this was something that the client thought was a bit more harmonious. I think that was the big change that the board had requested. At HSAB, this was heard yesterday as well, and they had some productive suggestions, one of which was, I think Mickey had asked if it was possible to take the, right now that rear addition sticks out by about 1 foot. He was saying, can you make it flush? And then so that the step in the back would come down a bit lower. And I don't see why we couldn't do that if that was something the board considered. So,
The step in the back. would come
so
down.
see how it kind of pops out a little bit.
Yes,
He was saying, don't have it pop out, just make it all flush.
so that the eave runs straight across?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And he said it also, or the thought was that it also drops the height a little bit. I mean, I think it would be fairly de minimis, but I'm just trying to work with. the
Drop the
board.
height of the addition because you're making it narrower by 1 foot?
Correct, yeah.
No, that doesn't follow, because you're raising the eave, right?
I suppose if you're, yeah, you're right, actually,
Removing the foot, if you just shear it off the way it is.
because the eave's higher,
the
you're right.
ridge is
Yep,
gonna stay exactly where it is.
it probably, yeah, probably would.
If you kept the eve low, but then that's not gonna work.
That'll look
either.
weird, yeah. I think this
Okay.
works, but just wanted to throw that out there. He
Let- yeah.
suggested it.
So let's hear what HSAB had to say.
All right, Mr. Chair, thank you. This is a contributing 1820s typical Nantucket. Staff comments, while the addition is sensitive at the rear of the historic structure, the gable addition towers over the existing middle mass. The addition should be subordinate to the middle mass. Further, the removal of the rear chimney is a shame, as it was typically associated with a later kitchen addition or an L. However, the porch addition does not distract from the historic massing. HSAB's comments from July 19th. by pushing the western addition a couple feet to the south while keeping lower E height and create a break in the north facing roof plane. This will give more of a sense of telescoping on the more visible north side. The south is much less visible. French door side lights to window. Ridge on the new addition should not pop up higher. Those are their comments, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thanks, Holly. Holly, could you do me a favor? Could we see the other page that would have the west elevation? In the back. Right, right here. There we go. Okay.
I know it is.
Hey, if anyone's ready to begin, that would be fine. Ready, John? Oh, okay. Go ahead, John.
Could you go to the window pages, please?
Yes. Oh. F windows. F windows, John. There you go. Fixed.
One other question.
Oh, he's removing that. Everything in orange, so stuff is getting taken off. Yeah, but they're fixed. No, they're fixed. Yeah, but they don't know.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, John. Who's next? Diane, you ready?
No,
No, okay. Steven, you ready?
Did we hear page set on this?
Yeah.
You just said.
I'm sorry, I was so engrossed with redesigning this now.
Apparently, one person in the room. didn't
Actually, I
do it.
was amazed by the size of the roof walk, and I was gonna ask you if you could make it just a little bit wider.
Sure.
I know you showed us historic pictures. I was a little tongue in cheek there. I'm gonna let Carrie go before me. Thank you, Mr.
I'll
Chair.
go.
Yeah, go ahead.
I appreciate the fact that you can drop the last bit of the addition down. I would like it to see a little bit of a break.
Mhm.
Just because it is very long
Mhm.
and the telescoping effect is a lot more difficult. And I know the roof walk existed at one point, but I don't think we should go all the way back to having a roof walk that covers the entire roof. It
We could
just
shrink it.
makes the house read as something that we're not really familiar with, unless you see an old photo and say, oh, wow, look at that. But I don't mind a roof walk. I just think that size is. Otherwise, I think you've done a really good job. That it's just that one rear piece is so massive and high that if you could reduce that,
See what we
step
can
down a
do.
little bit.
Okay, so I agree with Carrie's comments, and what I was working on the redesign was that roof in the back, just to see how it would work, but it seems to me that there is some redesign capacity to be able to lower that and to move back the facade. I'm not as strongly inclined to you having to move back the facade of the rear portion addition as I am in your creating a more of a telescoping, stepping down of the roof of the addition.
Mhm.
I do think that the comments on the roof walk are well-founded. And I don't mean to throw any type of a wrench in this wonderful covered porch, which I really think is wonderful, but I think taken in the context of the whole, it's just a little too wide. However, I think it's an appropriate element, so that may be a matter of personal taste. I don't know that there's a historic dimension for that. But I'm just looking at on balance of that open space underneath the covered porch with the baluster rail versus the covered porch on the other side. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Stephen. Diane, are you ready?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's hard to put all the stuff that's being demoed into my brain. I like the proposed east elevation. I think the porch on that side, I don't mind that. I wouldn't put too much stuff out there. It looks kind of more around to the side than in the front with whatever is there and being used. I like what Carrie said. And in what we're going to see, the demo that's being done all on the west side seems to be a lot, but what's being proposed, I guess, will fit in. I would like to see it again. I'd like, which elevation is this? North elevation. I would like to see the door, which is up number 4, to have those flanking side lights reduced somewhat. It makes for a heavy entrance way there. But I think his proposal, otherwise, at the moment, I don't have a major problem with it. The only other thing I was gonna say, in the modified roof massing, I wondered, Matt, why on that, on the right-hand side, is the roof over the number 3 door and the 2 A's? Is that necessary to go up?
Based on the geometry of the rear elevation, that's what's kind of driving it.
Oh, okay.
So
Just seems a lot of times it drops down, not goes up.
yeah,
But let's see what comes up. That's what I have to say for right now.
Okay, thanks, Diane. All right, you have something else you want to say? Hey, Matt,
yeah.
what are these things that are, oh, I think they're just chairs. They're
Yeah.
just chairs.
They're chairs.
They're furniture sitting on the
Too,
porch.
too much information on there. Yeah, they're chairs.
So to this thing about, I don't quite understand why, maybe I do understand, this idea of popping out that back master bedroom part
Mhm.
towards the north. If we're all flush, and it sounds like that's what HSAB was kind of hoping to accomplish,
Mhm.
it would be simpler. And then you'd get closer to the idea of that sort of stepping back, even though the ridge wouldn't go any lower than it is right now, and I was looking at the broken back, seeing if there was any way to handle that differently. I'm not sure that there is, but I would like to see that go flush.
Sure.
It's not gonna
Yeah.
be a problem for the bedroom or anything.
Nope.
So that's, yeah, and the roof walk, you know,
We
it's
can re-
long. Sure, it's that it was on the building at one time, right?
Correct. And that's generally how we sized it, that it
Yeah,
was
so
putting
I'm
it back, but if
I'm okay.
we could also reduce it
Oh,
too.
Stephen has one other thing.
Matt, just with respect to the roof walk, I think to the extent that it stays, if you compare the north elevation, which is the deck from the front of the house to the back of the house, to the west elevation, which is the side to side, it looks almost like, you know, it's very long and thin. And I
Yeah.
think that this structure could support a slightly front to back deeper roof walk and
Gotcha.
certainly,
Yeah.
you know, a little better proportion there, I think would help with your.
You mean more rectangular and less long?
Well, more square and
More
less.
square, yeah.
Yeah,
And again, we sized it based on historic photos,
Sure.
and so it was narrow. I felt the same way. I actually checked to make sure that it was, but yeah, I don't disagree. So we can shrink it and make it a more
and lastly, I'll
thoughtful
note,
proportion.
here we have an historical roof block that the HGC is hesitant to approve. Just, I mean, I'm just counting, me too, I'm just counting. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. I think we're holding this for revisions, are we not?
I'll make a motion to hold for revision.
All right. Diana's made a motion to hold for revisions. On that motion, all those in favor? Aye. Aye. Anyone opposed?
Thank you.
Yeah. Why are you on the next one? Hold for revisions, yeah. Hang on, I'm gonna see.
Thank you.
what
Oh,
else
Kathy.
I have. We just
Mine
finished fair.
Thank
Oh, so
you.
you are on this. So we're gonna take a 5-minute bio break.
Yeah.
Sorry, Joseph.
Bio, right?
Bios, right?
Salute, my
So
darling.
much.
Which one did
I'm wearing my.
Oh, yeah, the bag is down there. What did you get?
I got those.
Oh,
I
lovely.
guess these are those.
No, I got like tons of bags. Or down
At
there.
the Stop and Shop. or there?
Gumby's.
No good. I love this stuff.
Wow, good for you too.
Mm.
Thank you. I mean, you want some of these?
Abby. We have Abby to
I
thank
had a-
for all this.
I was refused.
Yeah.
Do you want some of these?
Oh, I heard about those. Are they pretty good?
Mm,
Mine's on the
These are
side.
so good.
These are really good.
I'll go find you one.
What? Oh,
You
what
want
are
to try a
those?
little bit? I just leave it a little bit left.
What's the
You like
difference-
the
That's
hot
what
ones,
it's the
Diane?
difference between the red and the blue?
These are like.
I have no
salty sweet,
idea.
and those are cheddar.
Those are beautiful. They're crispy.
Crispy's good.
I think they're on this. now. Let me see. Yep, you're on it, Sean.
Biological.
Yeah,
No.
nice.
Oh, you mean? I see. Oh, this is bio. This is bio.
I think there's.
You know what?
It's a shape. Just- yeah, and they're gonna lay the bar paper down on top of that. Pretty sure
That's what we're looking
Well, you're welcome. Yeah, there should be a couple bags more.
Yeah, yeah, let me bring them back.
And would you like some of the, just corn?
Oh, that's right. I
Holy bro.
don't
Wow.
take those.
Next door neighbor has them?
But these are very good. Where'd you get these?
Abby got them at the Stop and Shop. I think.
Oh.
Is that where you got them?
I just went to Cumbies.
Oh, Cumbies.
You want one, Diane?
No, I got a little bunch
Queso,
here.
that means cheese in Spanish.
What
I love
is it?
these popcorn things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I
They're
love them.
awesome.
Yeah, aren't they?
I've been looking for a jar of popcorn that's not bright yellow. I've gotten one in the past, but I can't find one.
Yeah, what?
White popcorn. Anybody seen any anywhere?
Oh, the ones that for the black and white. Are we being taken? So this is a very important subject. Popcorn, you mean with the black?
Bio break, it's a popcorn
You know,
break.
It's funny because, yes, they have those white kernels.
Yeah,
But when it pops, everything's white anyway.
I know, but I just, the idea of bright yellow corn kernels
know.
makes me feel like that's cow food.
Yeah.
Um, the white, I looked and found some ugly time and I want the big time.
I'm almost certain.
Okay.
Look up something.
Back in the old days, we did used to stop at 7:00.
Yeah,
Like,
nature
Every
calls
time.
sometimes.
Gave it a little break then, remember?
Mhm.
Before.
well,
close.
Stephen said 5 minutes, but it's been at least 10. No.
No, give up.
We used to have pizza and all sorts of good things.
All right. Stephen's back.
Yeah.
All right.
Go on.
Okay, Joseph.
Sorry.
Um,
We'll get more.
So this house is under construction, and the last time, a client just wants a change to the cupola that was approved. And the last time we met, you suggested or maybe I suggested a mock-up. So it is framed. It was put on the viewing list. It's a mock-up is framed. And I just passed around a packet of photos that we took this afternoon in case you didn't get a chance to look at it. It's a 24-inch change, so 12 inches in each direction. The cupola goes from having 2 windows aside to 3, which I actually think makes it feel a little lighter. And if you took a chance to take a look at it, I think hopefully you share the same thought I had, which is that it feels in proportion to the gambrel. And it's about 300 feet from the road.
So, Joe, can you just remind everyone what was approved originally?
There's a cupola that was a 9-foot square. This is 11-foot square. And
Oh, so the 2 feet is in both directions.
it's, yeah, true. Yeah, 12 inches left, 12 inches right, correct. And my client originally, I think we drew a 13-foot cupola and we reduced it to the 11. The 9, I think, although it hasn't been mocked up as a 9, it's been mocked up as an 11. I think would feel a little
out of proportion relative to the plumpness of the gambrel.
Can I ask him a question?
Of course, Diane, go ahead.
Joe, on your photograph of the house, then there's a house to the left of it.
Correct.
Seems to have some sort of cupola also. Is that a cupola or?
No, the houses to the left and the right each have roof walks, like the one at the one at 121. I don't know if you can see that in there. I don't think that has a roof walk. There aren't any cupolas adjacent to us. To the
So
right
that
of
must
us,
be a roof walk then, huh?
it might be a roof walk. That house is
There's
pretty
also a
large.
chimney on, I saw in one of the photographs, a big chimney.
There's a large roof walk to the right at 117 that is a skirted roof walk. It's substantial in size. I mean, it's certainly larger than this. I mean, early on when we were looking at cupolas versus roof walks and versus nothing, collectively, everyone agreed that something up on top made a lot of sense. And the roof walk was actually more massive as a skirted roof walk with the walking surface above the ridge and a railing.
And it doesn't really go with the house,
No,
roof walk.
This is it framed in.
that's it framed in. That's viewed from our property. So that's viewed from the bluff.
And this is the nine.
That's the
Nine.
11. That's what we're applying
That's-
for.
okay.
That's the mock-up. Those photographs, when we submitted it, the windows weren't cut out on the street side. So you're seeing that green sheathing for the full height of it. We went today to take some shots because they've cut out the windows, and I think it sort of exemplifies the lightness relative to that opaque surface of the green, which I thought was a little distracting.
A little bit. Okay, thanks, Joe. Board again, myself, Diane, John, Stephen, Carrie. You ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, go.
I find the previous or the existing request is, I said in the last time when it came in for approval, I made a statement on this structure going up there. And the cupola was inappropriate for this house, in Mill Point Road or anywhere else. There's too much mix match in the whole structure. Left side, right side, is too busy. So much glass in this building. And cupola is inappropriate for this structure completely. I think it should have one. Tried before. I think it should change this one. Thank you.
Okay, John, thank you. Diane, you ready?
Well, I'm ready, except I can't I can't decide. Well,
Want me to come back to you?
I don't know if I can decide any better.
I can come back to you. Here. Stephen, you ready?
Yeah, sorry, we're arguing over who gets what chips. So thank you, whoever brought them, because it's a wonderful.
That was
argument to have.
Abby, for the record.
Yeah, so a couple quick comments. Excuse me, I just identified a ladybug. Save.
Don't hurt.
I've been out there, looked at this several times. I also happened to be driving around the island this last few days with an old salt identifying cupolas on top of structures that may or may not have been appropriate to have approved those on. And with that in mind, those two things, given, can I see the image on the far upper right? Yeah, I can attest to the accuracy of that image. And I think that given from the road, the one on the far right, I think given the lack of visibility, really what you're seeing is the second floor, which is the exposed gables of the gambrel and the cupola. So I think it's approvable as it is.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. Carrie?
And I agree with Joe that the proportion of this thing is
right, for this massive roof line. I think nothing would read completely different and not as good. I'm for this scale.
Okay, thank you, Karen.
So
Diane?
I do too. I think the whole building is not the usual thing you see out on Eel Point Road. I think my only wish was it's probably because this is just a mock-up to keep the windows small, not big wide ones. I think the photographs I got, they can make it look big.
They do
window.
come in, they will be a little bit, if you look at the elevation with the trim that's happening between them and the shingle space left and right, that mock-up, the corners of that mock-up are leaner. It's not fully framed. It's
Okay. so
literally
that's
a
what I
mock-up.
thought.
Yeah.
So that looks better and it's maybe not something that you see all the time, but neither are some of the houses out on Eel Point Road anyway. And I think it's interesting. A lot of sort of old stuff with the round windows and that business. And so I don't have a problem with it.
Thanks, Diane. Did you ever check with the building inspector? Or the zoning inspector?
I read the definition of it and I feel comfortable with it.
It's habitable space, right?
Technically not. I mean, it's
Well,
a perch that you could get up there, just like
isn't there
you
a
can get
floor
up
in it?
to a roof. Yeah,
The size of it makes it more habitable than.
yeah, and it's this, I mean, there's
I mean,
not
it's
a code
really not
compliant
our
stair to get
department,
up
but
there.
it is
Yeah.
kind of funny, because basically if you got a huge monitor on your house that was 6 feet above your ridge line, it doesn't
Right.
count.
Well, and then there's roof walks that have spaces underneath them as well. That's an
Little different,
occupied.
just because that ends at the height of the ridge. You know, it doesn't go
Yeah.
above the ridge. Maybe the frame does, but anyway. Yeah, so I think it looks okay, and thanks for mocking it up. And it's very limited visibility. So what do you want to do with this, folks?
We're gonna make a motion to approve as submitted.
Did you say you are?
I guess-
Oh, John.
John.
I guess I will since.
I have
John
a
isn't going
feeling
to.
John's not going.
Oh, we
got a Alright.
smile.
So Stephen, was that your motion? Correct. All right. So Stephen has made a motion to approve this as submitted. On the motion, all those in favor say aye. Aye. I didn't make the motion. I never make motions because I know you'll get mad at me.
Here's one you take
Stephen
them
made a
out.
motion to approve it. No, but anyone opposed?
Yes.
Okay, so we
Thank
have
you.
4 in favor, 1 opposed.
Thank you.
Yes, vehemently, for the record. Okay, thank you. All right, Nathan.
Don't know the rules, so.
You missed the bio, right?
I know, I did. I was busy eating. Ah, thanks. This- Okay, so here's the board on this. Thank you. Myself, Diane, John, Abby. Abby's back and not Val. So we have Stephen is an alternate on this. And then Carrie, you're an alternate on the next one. Yes, I did. Okay. Yeah. Okay. We're on 10. All right, right, guys, you want to present?
Yes. We appreciate your patience at the original proposal. And we have made revisions as follows. We removed the shutters, which originally we thought would make it less formal, and I think you thought it was more formal. We removed the central gable on the south and north elevations and changed the door going out to the balcony on the south to a single door with side lights per John's request. The entry door on the south elevation, we reduced it from 4 feet to 3 feet to a typical 6-panel door. We changed the curved brackets to 45-degree and deformalized them. The west elevation, we removed the entire deck and balcony. The north elevation, we changed the 15 light French doors to 12 lights with panel below. Those are 7 feet in height. We kept the roof walk, even though I think the board preferred not to have it, but we kept it because the owner really desired it. And they made several changes anyway. And we've included about 10 photos of roof walks in the area, which is in your packet. Yes, those are they. And you can see most of them, all but one, have aprons on them. Finally, the roof shingles, we designated Ico charcoal gray. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Nathan. Okay. I'll start. Okay. John, start.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm trying to the structure, although it is well way out of town, the fact that the west elevation, 3rd floor, water round should be eliminated, put in something a little more attractive to meet the rest of the structure. Same proposal on the east elevation.
Water.
Painted with the water round windows, inappropriate for the style. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Thanks, John. Abby. We haven't heard from you in a while.
Well, I struggled with this style the last time. It seems very formal to me for Tom Nevers. It seems very Georgian and symmetric. And I think it can be pared down though, and to make it look a little more simple and not so formal. And I think it might have to do with the dormers in the attic. And maybe simplifying the detail over the front door with the sort of balcony over the front door. So I would like to see it simplified even more.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Abby. Diane,
I agree with what Abby said. It's very formal. It's a downtown house, I feel. And not out there on Johnson Way, which is sort of loose and informal. The, it may be just your machine, but the number 7 windows, I guess, are the wrong size. Those are chiclets. And I don't think that they should be used. I guess I would like to see the deck over the front door perhaps reduced down so it runs from the side window to the side window, or not completely the size of the front door. Giving the front door a little more prominence. In the thing. I think you have enough room in the dormers to separate those windows. And in the gables on the north elevation, I think that the windows should be separated and not walled together. I'm trying to persuade it based. I appreciate the stuff that you've done, the brackets and all that business. I would just like to see the formality of it, as Abby said, to be reduced. It will be better, and I would like to see some additive massing. It is one big box. You've got enough room out there to do additive massing. I would suggest that you try some. There's no additive massing and no reason why out there not to have some additive massing. So that's what I've got to say.
okay, thank you very much, Diane. Stephen,
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I'm not gonna get into too much into the drawing. I think that's been worked over. I still am concerned about the elevation change, and I understand that you presented that the Concom had requested this. But it's a 2-foot grade change over a large portion of the site. I also wanted to get some clarification that this, on the site plan, bring up the lower left corner of the site plan, zoom in on the septic area. So that is also proposed to have retainage, and it's very close to the road, so I don't know what that looks like.
6 inches high.
Okay, it doesn't, I don't believe I saw that anywhere.
I believe it's, no, the dimension is not shown, but Jeff Blackwell says it's 6 inches.
Okay, so that's, it seems like 6 inches for a retaining wall. It seems like the vocabulary is a little off. But I would want to have that annotated so it's clear. And then again, the 2-foot change, approximately 2-foot change in grade to raise the whole structure up, given its size, its height, and its formality is a concern. I think a less formal structure, although I certainly appreciate the changes you made. Don't read me wrong. I think that those changes were appropriate. A little concerned about the front, the double door on the front second floor over the kind of the small balcony over the front door, but I still think it's acceptable. But in combination with the overall height change, I'm concerned about that formality. So it's like one or the other in my mind. And then again, as I said, clarification of the retainage at the front. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
thanks, Stephen. So I have the same, first of all, I appreciate the changes. think it's still too formal. Just a few things that come to mind are the third floor dormers. The sort of arrangement of the front door with the French, Juliet balcony with the side lights over the front door. John's point about the quarter round windows. There's a lot of very formal elements still remaining on this house that I'd rather see softened up because this is Tom Nevers, which is a theoretically a more informal, casual location. That's it for me.
Motion to hold for revisions. Oh, sorry. Nathan, go
If I
ahead.
may,
Respond.
I missed one of the things that Diane said about the north elevation, the windows either side of the,
In the gables,
yes.
Yeah, I
wh-
think
wh-
she wanted to have them on the gang.
on gang, you have enough room up there, right there, those windows.
See those gang windows there?
Okay,
Have the-
don't think you would see those from a public
Oh,
way,
Oh,
but
that's right, they're facing Tom Nevers Pond. Right?
yes.
Yeah.
The other thing about the Stephen said about raising the whole grade is
Yeah.
required by Concom to even build here. And we had to have their permission. We had to have Steve Goen, the engineer, come up with a foundation, and that required.
I think what Stephen was saying was he was looking at the fill with a formal house on top of it.
Yes,
And
he
saying
said
like,
that.
well, you know.
Yes,
If you're gonna
if you
fill,
have
I'd
to.
rather not see a formal house on top of that fill. Yes.
And
Hopefully.
I
as
want
right
to
here, well, yes.
reiterate that we are stuck with that envelope. And so what you're saying is deformalize that envelope. Okay.
The structure. We understand that you're locked in.
There you go.
by the Concom,
Yes,
But I think that our response to that, Concom has its laundry list of things that it wants. And we have our laundry list.
yes.
And our laundry list is, I think, judging from what the board member said about this application, is that it's very formal for Tom Nevers. And I think that Abby wanted to say one other thing on the east elevation, which I happen to agree with.
To Diane's
Diane's
point
point.
too, about the gang windows on the east elevation, second floor, far right. They sort of are come at
Right
a
at
very strange angle to that gable. If those were separated, I think it would work a lot better.
That's possible. Yes. Okay.
So
May I make
separate
one
the
more
room.
comment about this?
Yeah.
Second window.
But we're gonna hold for revisions.
Yes.
We've, again, really locked into that envelope. And so what I heard last time, we reacted to, and the client thinks that they reacted to. And so I think some of the things that you've asked for this time is new to them. You did say formality. You reiterated that several times, but we reacted to it. And what you're saying is we need to still come up with less formality. Okay.
If I were to sum it up, that would be the yes.
Can I get an idea about the two dormers on the front, on the south? They would really
Yay or
like,
nay?
yes,
Well, listen, Nathan, I think that it's an overall feel. It's like third floor dormers, roof walk, quarter round windows, Juliet balcony over the front door with a door with side lights on it. It's sort of like we're looking at the sum total of everything. So if you remove some of the other stuff, maybe we'd say, that the dormers were okay. By the way, they
It
probably
doesn't
should come
just
in a
like-
little bit closer because it seems very wall-eyed right now. So hopefully that answered the question.
okay, thank
You
you.
just have to decide what your priorities are and what you're willing to give up to get us where we need to be.
Okay,
Okay?
very good.
Can I have a
Motion to hold for
Thank
revisions.
you. So there's a motion to hold for revisions. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries. No. No. It was for revisions. Revisions.
You want the cottage to be,
No.
track the main house?
Sorry, Diane.
Do you
What?
want the cottage to track the main house?
You want us to review the cottage? I think you're here. You've been waiting. Let's just do it.
If you don't mind a moment, I would like to tell you what we changed.
Mr. Chair, may I?
Yes,
So I believe I may have stepped out on.
you did.
So I am not on either the cottage or the pool hardscape.
That's correct.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, it's on the thing here. So Carrie is actually on.
I'm an alternate.
Right, but because Val's
Right,
not
yep.
here, you're in.
I wasn't on it.
Okay.
Okay, we removed the cupola,
Okay.
removed the shutters.
Yep.
We changed the balcony curb brackets to 45-degree ones.
Yep.
Simplified and reduced the north and south gable dormers. We, on the south elevation, revised the French doors to to 2 doors instead of 1 door and 2 windows. East elevation, we changed the upper round window to square, and the roof shingles are Ico charcoal gray. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Holly, would you mind scrolling up to see the other 2 elevations? There we go. I think you might have some of the same issues here, Nathan.
Yes.
But let's hear from the board. Carrie, you want to start since you weren't on the last one?
Sure. I think that little center gable in the second floor dormer is creating the problem on this building. That's it for me. On both sides of the building, that little piece with the half round creates the formality that is not appropriate. It seems like it's a little tall, but the house is very tall. So it's sort of a miniature of that, but maybe the 3-gang windows also on this end elevation that we're looking at the bottom of the drawing, that seems a little excessive, but it's all going to be behind the house, so less visible.
Right.
But really, it's just the half round and the little gable, making it symmetrical. That's very formal, and the symmetry makes it very formal, and I think that's it. For my comments.
Short and sweet. Thank you,
Thank
Carrie.
you.
John, you ready?
Yeah. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Front elevation.
Yep.
Did you remove the cupola?
Yes.
We did.
Thank you.
Went for a hike.
The arches have been changed.
Yes, sir.
Good man, good man. North elevation. Second floor. Rainbow above the 16 light.
Yeah.
I have only question on that, whether it is appropriate or not.
Okay,
I will not comment. Thank
okay.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, John, thank you. Abby, you ready?
Yeah, I
Right.
just wanted to say that this, when I first saw these drawings and this cottage, it reminds me of England. I mean, it's such a really nice draw. It just seems, just like we're saying, it a little too formal for Tom Nevers, but I do love the design, so I wanted to say that first. I think
Thank
that,
you.
that the French doors over the other doors and on the main house, if that was a French door with just two windows on either side, that might make it simpler. And I think the other thing that seems a little odd to me is the brackets with the really deep Juliet balcony. See, that could be pulled in a bit, I
Okay.
think, just for proportion.
Depth,
That's all I have.
depth.
Depth, yeah.
Okay,
Okay, thank you. And yes, Diane, go.
I would like to see the number of windows reduced. I think on the north elevation, I would like to see the windows on the first floor down to one on either side. I would like to see, as Abby said, the Juliet balcony there brought in a lot because it's too heavy for the house. It's a, everybody said, and it's true, it's a lovely house, but it doesn't fit there. I would, there's no, again, there's absolutely no additive massing. The building could come down and have some of that stuff on the first floor around in back. I think that the deck on the, I don't know, along the two windows there, I would like to see the amount of windows fenestration reduced. That south elevation, and it's not going to be totally unseen because you can see across the pond when you're down on Low Beach Road, and all the way up, you're looking right at the houses there. So I truly would like to see that south elevation reduced by the windows. So it's good, and see if you can have enough room to drop a little bit. It's not in keeping. I know the area pretty well because we caretook two buildings out there. And we spent a lot of time out there. So one of them was right on the pond looking down, the Beals house, and the other Beal house was out on the bluff. They were marvelous houses. They moved around and they gave people different levels to do stuff. And if this is a cottage, I just think that it's too formal for out there, that area.
Okay.
To
Thank you,
Diane,
Diane.
may I say one thing? Again, we can't really add additive massing. This is very, I think the dormers help on this design, minus the gable, and the other things that you've said make a lot of sense about windows, etc. I'm just saying it's not, we're not going to have the typical additive massing out the back because of the envelope. Thank you.
All right, thanks. I have nothing to add, so let's, oh, go ahead, John.
Yeah, going back, yeah, previous submission, I do not recall on, but this one here, having 4 panel doors for a front door, I think is highly
I will talk to them.
unusual for this style of structure. Okay.
I'll talk to them again about making windows.
Thank you.
Motion to hold for revisions.
Thank you. All those in favor of Abby's motion to hold this for revisions, say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye, aye, aye.
opposed? No, motion carries. Okay, now we got the pool, right?
Hardscape and pool, yes.
Hardscape hardscape and pool, okay. And Carrie's on this, same board as last time.
May I just go ahead, Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman?
go for it.
So we included, you can see a bunch of photos from other projects about stone, patio, stone, capstone, stairs. And we showed a lot less steps and just a lot of grass where there were steps. And we increased the patio itself as the Concom approved between the houses was all stone. And they went back to making that stone between except for planters. And we included some trees, as you can see, and that's about it for now.
Okay, thanks. Who would like to begin on this one?
Can I just clarify, all the grid is stone?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, no, just the pool. And that's not actually a pool. He's just showing an example of what the pool is.
How big is the pool,
It's
Nathan?
an 8 by 12.
No comment, Mr.
24.
Chairman.
Oh, 24 by 8, excuse me.
24 by 8.
Yes.
Okay.
And showing the blue pebble dash and the gray surround.
Okay, got it. Anyone else?
I could ask a question, unless
ahead,
it
Diane.
changed, is that I was under the impression that we didn't use bluestone caps on stone walls.
We tend not to because it's formal.
Right,
It's a very formal
and
way.
these are all with bluestone caps, and I would ask.
Correct.
I'm
They-
sorry, I missed that. I've used it many times.
Well, it's been used a lot, but it's one of
That
those
Jesse.
things. Bluestone caps, we realize are, they're a way of formalizing what could appear to be a, much less formal wall.
Yeah, I don't see it as formal, but okay. What's the substitute then?
Well, you just,
Just have the stone wall come to
Yeah.
a smooth top.
yeah. Just have the stones on top.
It seems like it's being
Mortared in.
used for a bench here, that's why.
Hmm.
I just wonder if some of the stoneworks, maybe on the sides, I understand between the two buildings that you want to have patio around the pool, but to extend it all the way to the sides, is that a Concom thing too?
Yeah. Originally it was,
But-
and we
But they're
had,
not requiring it. You just applied for it.
that's correct. We had more grass before. And the owner said, go ahead with what the Concom approved for now. And Ben Shampoo is going to make a final design.
So we'll see it again with,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Because it just seems a little extensive. I get that the property is huge, but just everything is hard there. But I have no problem with the pool
Okay,
and a patio. And I don't think your fire pit will be, visible from anywhere in a significant way.
right.
I really don't, yeah, I don't have much of a problem with it, except just the extensive use of the stone.
So
Mostly on the sides, really. But I don't,
if I'm not using stone to cap a low wall,
What do you
You-
use?
Jesse,
no,
what do
no,
you-
No, 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 no. No. Bluestone. So if you have a picture here of a fire pit. If you just took the bluestone off the top,
Yeah.
you just had the Pennsylvania stone there. It's a stone wall. It's just not capped with bluestone.
okay,
It's
it's not very finished, but
done all the time.
And so that is inappropriate now?
Been appropriate for as long as I can
It's-
remember,
Nathan,
Nathan.
Nathan. It's just, that's a formal way to finish a wall.
Right.
So that was the nature of Diane's comment,
Okay,
okay? It's not like we have never approved caps on stone walls. Of course we do, but like, I think the overarching theme here seems to be one of
formality.
formality in this particular context.
Got it.
Um,
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Abby, have you spoken?
No, and I'm getting a feel that you want this client of yours wants a formal setting. So I'm not gonna,
You
I'm not
think?
gonna fight it anymore. So I'm trying to get into that. That's a lot of paving. When you've got the pool and you've got the.
So perhaps a little less stone between
I
buildings.
think everybody would probably
Okay.
appreciate that.
Okay,
And I was just wondering about the screening on the sides for, just because you're on a cul-de-sac. And this is just, it's a very large piece of property, but you do have neighbors on other side. And I would like to see the sides soften, and then you can have your formality if you have.
okay.
If the sides of your property are landscaped with trees of some sort. So
Okay.
I think,
These were good comments. I need to get the client, as you said, into rethinking.
Okay.
Could I mention one other thing, because I don't
Yes.
see it, Nathan, is the cover for the pool.
The what?
What kind of cover is on the pool?
Yeah, auto cover.
Okay. That's
No,
okay.
it's not shown.
No. Just
There
wanna
has to
make
be
sure
by code. Yes,
that we
thank
have the
you.
Auto cover is fine.
we'll do that.
Thank you.
So I think that we should move to have some revisions done.
I'll hold for a vision.
Hang on. Yes,
Oh,
John.
I'm sorry, Diane.
Well, she just made a motion to hold for revisions. You have a
Just
comment?
on the motion, I didn't know she was gonna make a motion, but I think we should be, what do you call it? Accept your suggestion. I think it's very clear. We'll straighten this out. And
Oh, the cap?
take the cap off. Yeah.
Okay.
I
That was
agree, I
actually
agree.
your friend Diane's suggestion.
Okay.
Okay, so there it is. All those in favor of Diane's motion to hold for revisions, say aye.
Aye.
Any vote, any opposed? No.
Thank you again for your
Okay, thanks,
patience.
Nathan. All right, now we're to Matt again at 26 Easy. Oh, I seriously have to just rinse off. the
Yeah,
book.
of course.
I'll-
Yeah,
I'll be
go.
30
Yeah.
seconds.
no, take your time. Go for a couple of days.
That white cheddar.
I know, it didn't happen to me.
Don't
Did it?
lick off so much.
More down there.
Go ahead, eat them, Joe. That's part of your dinner. Go ahead, clean that bag out.
Easy streets.
Why did they call it?
Easy? Why do they call it easy? It's not easy.
Hey, hey, hey,
Oh, here, I'll
you
take
call
them.
it easy.
I'll just dump them into the trash.
Oh, I'm not
I think-
No. No, that's garbage.
Okay.
Oh, no, there's a little bit in there, but yeah, I mean, they're
They'll
crumbs.
finish it up.
I'll just keep them over.
Oh, I know, it's a child. No, no.
Are you full?
Well, you're gonna ruin your dinner.
I know, well, what if I ever get to
I
dinner?
know, that's true, that's so true.
By 9:30, I've lost my appetite.
Here,
I'm telling you, man.
what are we
Like
drinking?
the president, I'm in a requisition pizza with olives and artichoke. How about some ice cold beer? with it?
With some
And,
anchovies.
After hours.
What are we talking about? 26 Easy Street, mixed use structure. Refused camp. Oh, you want me to go get something else?
waiting on me. Okay, Matt, go.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Chair. So I will just jump into the revisions. Probably sheet A 2.1 is the best place to start. So we've omitted the two decks on the south elevation, which I know is an issue for the board. We did keep the one deck on the east elevation, which is the front, I would say. Because it's a corner lot, I kind of look at the south and the east as the combined front elevations, if you will. But anyways, removing those decks, wasn't great, but clearly I felt that the board was unanimous in saying eliminate those two, which we've done. We've also eliminated the Dutch hips, which I like myself. I thought that they kind of helped mitigate the size and scale and kind of got rid of some kind of harder edges. Ironically, HSAB, one of the board members said they kind of preferred it as well, but we've omitted those. And I think that it does support the notion that the building should be somewhat less formal. And so that was our attempt to address that as well. We are, so one of the very bigger changes, we've also omitted the owl chimney cap. So kind of a smaller change. And anyways, the final change here is, this is kind of a significant one and it's up for discussion, but it's really a response to the resiliency, but the building material itself has been changed to brick. I can hear the gasps, just kidding. And this is purely a response to the, location of the structure being on Easy Street, planning for, future, exposure to weather, extreme weather, and understand that there is some precedent for brick in the core district. But anyways, the primary reason for changing was ownership wants to try to design a building, for the next 50, 60 plus years in this location. So I do think that for the sake of the discussion of one of my hesitations about the material change was not to get like completely sidetracked by that. Because the truth is, I think this could easily be, the brick could be changed to shingle very easily. So, most really looking forward to feedback in terms of the massing changes and the detail changes. Obviously, the brick or shingle is a bigger discussion. I just don't want to suck up all the air in the room with that discussion. So anyways, I did, I know. That's it, Mr. Chair. Yes, thank you.
That's it. Okay, HSAP.
Yes, Mr. Chair. So as you all are aware, this is an infill within the old historic districts. Matt alluded to resiliency. So resilient Nantucket design guidelines need to be looked at. Chapter 11 indicates about commercial structures, infill. Of course, the balcony, appreciate the removal of the two, but balconies are still inappropriate within the old historic district. Still too tall at 34 feet 6 inches and inappropriate. The finishing of brick masonry as exterior walls, that is up for debate, obviously for you all to decide on. Building with Nantucket in mind credits the old Harbor House complex as a respectful architectural design for commercial design. Just want to reiterate that, page 151 of Building with Nantucket in mind. Says street facing elevations should try to reflect Main Street design elements. I'm not too sure that this proposal necessarily meets Main Street design proposals, but the proposal doesn't provide traditional proportion and detail, and it should be wood and more like its neighbor at 28 EC Street, which was a good infill design, which I believe Matt did. HSAB's comments from yesterday, July 19th, on this mixed-use structure is that the design is too large and too complex for this location. The historical waterfront typically had simpler utilitarian buildings. This design is very similar to the one next door on Easy Street, which would create a new and inappropriate dominant style in that area. This building should contrast with one to show that this is not the norm on this street. Instead of both masses being at the same height, there should be a change in the height and the massing to show a dominant main mass and a lower additive mass. Second floor balconies overlooking the street should not be allowed anywhere downtown. There is no historical precedent for one. Still way too tall, they say 34.5 feet. The third floor should be eliminated entirely. This is a corner lot and the height is very visible from the new park and the wide sidewalk across from Dreamland. Visible third floor spaces are much more the exception rather than the rule downtown. This is yet another in a series of proposed projects that are attempting to supersize downtown Nantucket. We need to keep the existing scale of these buildings as in order to retain the character of town. If we aren't vigilant, the town as we know it will change forever. I did want to notate for the record, Mr. Chair, that I was not at HSAB's discussion and I had reviewed on my own. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks. So let's reiterate the board up here. Myself, Diane, John, Val is not here, Carrie.
Give it you like.
Yeah, but I want to. So you don't have a 5-person board, Matt,
Okay,
because Val's not here.
right.
Move forward. I mean, she could always mull in back in.
Are the alternates available to
No,
jump in?
Unfortunately, you don't for some reason. We have Abby down as recused.
Mhm.
I don't think she had any reason to recuse, but maybe she was not in the room or something.
Gotcha.
So that's that.
Um,
Do you want to proceed with 4 people?
You know, if it's at all possible, just given the type of project it is, I think a 5-person board would be better.
That would be my recommendation. I mean, I hate to hold you over, but
Is it
seriously.
possible to get on the next available agenda if Val's going to be here?
Let's see, do we have a Thursday? Which means this could not go on, or we just refer it?
Can go on.
Oh, it's posted, it's on. I get it. Well, yeah, I mean,
If that's okay, that would be the
I might
preference.
not show up on Thursday either, but so that's a chance you have to take.
Okay,
All right?
What-
You'd like to do that?
if that's okay. And then if you're,
Okay, so, hey, everybody, John, we're gonna hold this because he would like to have a 5-person board sitting on this. and Val's not here with us tonight. So we're gonna hear this on Thursday. Okay? Thursday, yeah, so you can fold this up for now.
Can Abby Mullen in that time?
You know, I don't know the answer to that. There's these rules about like you're supposed to be on the first application or something, so
Yes, you're not on the
Mr.
first.
Chair, that's
application.
actually,
you don't have to be on the.
that's
first-
not accurate. Yes, you only can miss one, whether it be the first or the third, or it does not matter, just one.
Oh, well, then, given that, I mean, like,
That's good.
basically
We did
anybody
do
can
it
mull in.
before.
sure.
Because
So,
it's only been reviewed once, right, Matt?
I believe so, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, all I have in here is May 25th.
Right. So,
So
You
Abby
know,
could mull it in.
so you might want to check
Ask.
out and see who's going to be and not be at Thursday's meeting to see if
Okay.
anybody could mull in for you.
Okay.
All right, so let's hold that. We don't need to take any action right at the moment. And then we're gonna move along to 100 Low Beach Road, hardscaping. Wait, did I do that right? Which one did we scratch? 15. So we are at 100 Low Beach Road. Board, myself, Diane, John. Here we go again. No Val, Carrie's on this, and Stephen is an alternate. So Stephen's here, so we got 5.
Hello, thank you for seeing me. Bernice
hi.
Waller from Bernice Waller Landscapes. I'm
Yes, how's it
representing the
going?
project.
We've seen you on the Zoom session.
Thank you. Yes.
Welcome to the HPC.
Thank you. I've been here before.
We still welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'll walk you through the changes if that's
Okay.
appropriate.
Yep.
Since the last round, we heard some messaging about softening the overall forms of the landscape. So what you're looking at here is a revision to 3 key areas, one being the spare parking adjustment that we're showing. We've rounded the walls. We've removed some of the wall and shortened the overall length of the wall, and then incorporated more organic edges to the gravel parking area. And then also there were comments last time about clarity for the proposed landscape in that area. So we have included on the second page a plant schedule, which will, which shows you what all of those little letters are meaning up there. But essentially, we're screening from Low Beach Road with a mass of native planting, Cornus Florida, evergreen cedars are providing most of the buffer planting there, as well as some myrica. All of those have been very successful in that setting to date. Then moving towards the pool house, we've reduced the length and the amount of privet hedge that we're showing, and we've naturalized towards the left side where you're seeing the table and the chairs. We've reduced the amount of lawn in that area, and we've incorporated a more naturalized viburnum deciduous shrub type of planting palette in that area where we had previously been showing privet. We also rounded some of the forms of the planting that's happening on the backside of the pool terrace that you see there, and incorporated some hydrangeas along the backside of the loungers.
Did it?
That's it.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good.
Yeah.
I know I ask this question every time, but is this Sconset advisory territory or no? Okay. All right, so who would like to begin?
I would begin about
That would be great. Diana.
vegetation.
Yep, go ahead.
I heard you mention privet hedge,
Reduction of it, I think I heard.
Yeah, there was a reduction of the privet
like
hedge.
none. That's a good,
That's a severe reduction.
it's a severe reduction. This is down on the beach. You're on the sand beach. We don't have privet hedge growing on the sand beach. It should be local vegetation that is able to be used, not privet hedge, not a foot of it. I think that it is, I thought we had mentioned that before. You have to, you are surrounding all that parking in there. And I would, you only get 4 cars, or are you looking for more than 4 cars?
No, just the 4 cars.
Okay, and then I would like to see what you're planning as vegetation going right down onto the beach area so that it can fit in. You have a stone terrace around the pool. What kind of covering is on the pool?
The pool will have an auto cover associated,
Have an automatic cover?
an automatic
Okay,
cover, which is
that's-
how we're getting away from
That
using the
is
fencing.
good. I appreciate sort of the area, I appreciate with the non-formal growth of the way you have planned it. I think that's very important. I think that would be good. Just trash the privet and give us a list of what is there. I see one, you have existing vegetation to remain. I'd just like to know what's going to be there to see that it fits in and sort of is going to grow along, because you have very sandy soil. And there are only some things that grow well. It's really sandy soil. So I'd like to know what those are, if we might have that,
Mhm.
okay?
Yes, so
Thank
just,
you.
thank you. Can I respond? So to clarify on L.2, there's an image of the existing vegetated buffer that exists in that area, which is mostly a base plane of panicle grasses and fescue grasses with some cedars and bayberry in
Yeah.
masses throughout that area.
Bayberries and cedars are great. It's just that the other formal head that
Mhm.
creeps on down and you don't need it. You've done a good job around
Mhm.
covering your parking spaces and stuff. I'd like you to stick with that.
The privet hedge is a bit of a holdover from the previous approved plan
Well,
that existed with hedges.
Okay.
I would prefer not to see it. Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
Diane, thank you. John, are you ready?
Yes. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Pool have a rollback,
Auto cover, I'm sure it does.
The pool has an auto cover, yes.
Yes.
I would like to do one thing, Mr. Chairman. It's a beautiful design. I like it. I'd like to take a few minutes of my time and ask
Oh, Jesse?
for his opinion on this layout as a. description, you know, I want
Jesse
you to
is
each
John's
master,
pool
I thought.
consultant.
Okay, cool.
Anyways, I think the plant materials are all very good choices, and I appreciate the reduction in the privet hedge. Thank you, John. I appreciate it.
Okay.
I'm blushing over here.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, John and Jesse. Let's see, who's next? Stephen? you're
Yeah,
on this,
sure.
right? Yeah.
I'd like to get off the privet and look at look at sheet L4 one, please, which I think is much more significant. I'd like to get some clarification on what of this grade change reference this. If we could go back to the site plan, I apologize, but I think I'm interpreting the blue lines as new grade and the lines that are hard to see, not necessarily intentionally, but the grade line, the topographic grade lines that are in light gray as the existing. And then if you go back to the section, there's a section line showing us the grade. Yeah. I'd like to get real clarity in terms of what's being proposed versus what exists and have that verified, and what's been previously approved.
Good point.
Because this is a significant potential grade change, whether it's previously approved or not, it's significant. And I think by focusing on plant materials versus structural aspects, we're doing a disservice. So could you clarify through the chair?
Looks like 3 feet of fill. Is that about right?
The, I'll need to, there's the house, we did work to do a balance of where the house wanted to exist based on the topography of the existing land in that area, which is roughly 10 in the zone where the building is. And in order to just, the house and the pool terrace is sited at around 11.67, 11 feet, 7 inches. That in most places just gets you positive pitch towards the road, which is in many places 10 or 9, depending on how it travels down pathway or the roadway. So really there's a very level area that exists there now, which is shown on the .2 plan, where you're seeing the existing site clearing. And we're basically working to keep it a level area
Okay, so
for the
just
new design.
for clarification, what is the existing grade at level? Not around 9?
10 where the house is sited, 9 at the street where the parking, 9 at the parking where the street is.
There's some markings on the plan that show spot elevations of 9.4, 9.8, 9. All around the pool. So it looks like we're adding 2.5 feet, raising the whole thing up 2.5 feet. Is that
That's correct.
Right.
So my thoughts on that are,
Runoff goes
I would
into
like
here.
a topo that shows clearly delineates existing versus proposed in site plan without the landscaping,
Okay.
without the coloring, without any of the adornments. a simple dash line of the
Mhm.
pool patio and the house structure exterior. And then I would like to see the same thing with respect to existing and proposed in the existing cross-section reference L 4.1.
Thank you. Yes, so just a black and white grading plan.
Because all these walls at the front would not really be necessary. And then I have a question about what this is. Is that just a quick drop slope?
Correct.
Down
Yes.
What's the this, Carrie?
The
Hmm?
line here.
around the curved
Oh, yeah.
set of lines? That's like a man-made drop.
Yeah.
And
It's
that
a
means-
sloped bank of naturalized planting. It's the buffer for the conservation planting that we're doing in the front, but it is the,
Right.
we are not, we're not going past the, our red is the limit of work, and that the lower blue line there is a limit that we can't go past.
Here, I think Carrie's referring to these
Mhm.
concentric lines.
Correct.
Which are
Yes.
basically terracing up, and then they're berming up. So that you have this flat site.
Right,
That's
right.
gotta
And
be
drainage
artificial.
goes down to the wetland and then down to the road.
Yeah.
From that flat lawn.
Correct. That slope is shown on this section that we were looking at on L 4.1.
And I think that he, just if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, go
ahead. The site plan and the cross-section with respect to existing proposed, I think a black and white would be a step backwards. I think there should be a consistent color coding to indicate what's proposed, and not to say one can't be a black or gray, but, or blue or red, but a consistent color scheme to indicate the existing versus the proposed in both the cross-section and the site plan.
It's a good idea.
Can I comment on the stone?
Yeah.
Just because the photographs shown are really helpful, and the stone wall to match existing, I think is great. It's natural. It seems to be appropriate down at this end of the street. The stone steps, although the gray granite, seem to me a little formal, and if we're going to see them from the road, which it seems like we will at the parking court, that they should sort of align material wise, the stone wall and the steps going up, because that seems to be the thing that we'll be looking at.
Mhm.
So if they were
Mhm.
consistent with the stone wall, I think that would be more naturalistic for this beachy dirt road. That's my only comment about the
Okay.
materials.
So I think that the grading thing is an interesting and eventful thing that's taking place on this site, and that we should have a better understanding of, because as far as I can tell, it is really basically creating a platform that's more or less 2.5 feet above the existing grade, which might appear to be very artificial. So I'd like to see some more information on this. Yes.
I
Mr.
would
Chairman.
like to make a comment.
Yes, go ahead. Yep.
General knowledge, I was curious about this property,
Mhm.
and I went out, looked at it twice. And my knowledge of the area. Low, a lot of low brush here,
Yes.
but I gotta realize that whatever they ever bring in here, it's gonna be very costly, because whatever is there now, that brush doesn't expand too much. And you go down 3 feet, and everything, lay it down, it's all sand, beach sand.
Beach
It's all
sand.
beach sand, so they gotta bring in a lot of stuff. It could be one project.
Yeah, something for the
Interesting.
plants to live off. of.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, John. Should we motion for some more information and potential revisions on this one?
So move
To
on that.
include the sections. and
Uh,
site plan.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. On Stephen's motion, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Is it just one person in favor? Am I losing the audience here? What? Diane, are you in?
To get more information, yes.
Yeah, and revisions. Stephen, are you in on your vote?
Yes, sir.
John, are you in favor? Okay,
Yep.
okay,
Yes.
all right, so we're all in favor. Yes, I thought we were.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. All right, now we're gonna move along to 22 Eel Point.
John Berry.
Correct, John Berry, and there's gonna be myself, Diane, John, Abby is back, no Val, and let's see, who? We have Stephen and Carrie. Who of those two are in the rotation right now?
I think Gary is.
Carrie is?
We're
Okay.
22 Eel Point.
22 Eel Point.
We're both on it.
Well, I know you
Oh,
both are, but in
for
terms of
later.
the mini rotation that seems to be
Oh,
happening.
The
on-
future ones, that same address, we're both on it. So
Okay.
go ahead, Steve.
Oh, so Stevens our associate on this?
Mhm.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that one got crossed off.
First on the whole thing.
Meredith, yeah, graduated with a. But he didn't.
This Steve.
I think he went to Harvard.
Okay, Matt.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'll just get started. So probably the most useful elevation to look at would be on sheet A201, which is the north elevation, which faces Eel Point Road. This parcel, thankfully, is actually at the lower elevation of Eel Point Road. Obviously, there's a lot of undulating hillsides there, and we've done a couple projects that are located up on the hill on the opposite side of the ocean. This particular lot sits lower. Stephen, you had actually requested existing topo. We didn't have it at the last meeting, but we did receive it from the surveyor. And we've showed a very diagrammatic plan about how we plan to handle the existing topography. But basically, the building sits right around elevation 33. We will, we would like to plan to level things off a little bit. We could probably have a sloped grade, but it should be fairly self-explanatory in terms of areas of fill. But obviously, we're trying to keep them to a minimum, work off the existing grade in terms of where the house wants to sit, and then, do some feathering where we need to. As far as the changes to the building since the last time you've seen it, we've literally just changed all of the roof pitches to a 12.75. They were previously 14 pitches, which I know Val is not here, so I wish she was here. She should hopefully appreciate the change that we've made. But basically, I think that was one of the bigger sticking points for the board as a whole. The result of the changing the pitch was dropping the main ridge 20 inches. So it's now at 27.8 inches, and that is the highest, point of the house. The remaining secondary additive masses are probably somewhere in the range of like 26.10, something like that. So the pitch change significantly dropped the height of the structure. We did wrap around a porch on the east elevation from the north, and other than that, the significant change is just changing the pitches. So look forward to comments from the board, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Matt, can you remind me of the colors on this?
It's white sash, white trim. It is cottage corners, though.
All right. Max,
Yes.
where does this house sit in relation to the existing house that's on that site?
It is forward of that existing structure.
Forward of the house that's there now?
Yes. Not by,
Forward as in closer to your point.
yes. I mean, just by nature of the house, it's in a similar location, but forward of it.
Okay. Who's ready?
Can I ask you a question?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the roof,
Yes,
when you have a 12,
yes.
and then you have a 12 3/4, is that 12 over 12 3/4?
Yes, so it's slightly steeper than a 12 and 12 roof pitch.
Okay.
Cutting hairs.
I know, it's like 14 and 12, 12 and.
We could
3/4.
drop it to 12, but I just,
Mhm.
the steeper pitch just looked better and we didn't want to have a 13 pitch just
And,
because we're
you know,
superstitious.
We get such heavy snowfall here that I can see why you want. to
Yes,
slide off
that's the
roof.
primary
Right.
driver, snowfall.
All right.
You'll be coming in with A-frames pretty soon.
12 would work too. Just
All right. Okay. Who's on this?
Is this the first, this is the second time?
This is the second.
correct, second time.
All right. Oh, yeah, go ahead, John. No, you go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I find the overall vision of the whole structure very harmonious for itself. Very, very blue. And harmonious for itself. We're ready to move on. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, John. Abby, you ready?
Well, it's funny because I'm overwhelmed by it. He's far.
Rather
he's a-
large.
Yeah, it's just, and there's so much going on with the different roof lines and I'll tell you what I like. I love the first floor. I think that works really well with the hips and the nice big porch. I mean, that sings to me. But the, you know, the large gable and then the two flanked by the two sheds and then I don't know, there's just something about it that's overwhelming. And you know what? I don't know whether it's when you make these windows black,
Yeah,
does that do something to, I
It
mean, does
can.
that change our perception of it?
It does.
What does it
Whether
do?
it's good or bad.
Makes
I
you
think it's bad.
bounce over the head with the,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
what you're gonna see.
it's too contrasty and it just sort of makes us,
sometimes it helps,
But
but
we used to do light blue.
yeah, yeah.
um,
We could go to a lighter,
Anyway,
shade, but obviously the intent was not to make it look
it,
disharmonious, but
but I know what John's saying. It is harmonious. It reminds me of a large sort of elementary school or some, a private elementary school or something. But
keep on talking.
thanks.
yeah, I don't know what to say. Maybe somebody else should go.
No, it's fine. Well, that I think is a function of the size.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. I mean,
it's well done and large.
Yeah.
You guys down there.
Yeah, so,
Oh, that's
so
right,
I would
just
like
you.
ladies first. It's, oh, John, did you go?
He did.
So I think dark windows, gray windows, blue windows, for me, I get Abby's point. I think for me, it makes it look more realistic to have a darker window. And so I'm a fan of what's been presented in terms of the color that you've used to poche. I do agree, it's large. I think it is well balanced. I think it's well designed. I know I'm concerned about some of the termination points on the dormers to the ridges, the sense of the overall length. And one of the things that I'm trying to champion is 6-panel doors. No. Cross sections of buildings that are on a hill. So I would like to see a cross section with the existing and proposed. It appears to me, Matt, that you are exhibiting a good degree of restraint on the grading, but I would like to look at that with a cross section and ask that you show any of the cuts on the backside where you're reducing grade, because I think it would be helpful to have that be clear for processing the information.
Gotcha.
With respect to the overall size, I mean, you do have additive massing here. I will look a little closer now that I'm active, just in the Google Maps of neighboring homes.
Yeah,
And if you have something you could bring in, I would appreciate that. I think it would be helpful.
we can do that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Stephen.
One comment.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I only have one comment. This here, Deer Point Road is it's 90 feet long without a garage or a chimney, but it's just but it's typical for itself, which is a nice design. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Diane.
I'd like to see the front door made a little more prominent because it's competing against all the windows and stuff around it. And I'd like to see it stand out a little bit more. On the east elevation, it's a lot of gables or whatever, and they're all pointy. They're pointy gables. I don't know how much you would have to widen them to bring it down a little bit. I just think on that particular east elevation, it's got a lot of, it's very busy with all the gables and stuff. I appreciate the roof, the whole thing being brought down 20 inches. I think that is great. And the shed dormers, it's just on that east elevation. I find it very busy, and perhaps I don't know what's behind there on the right side of it, where you have the door and the one window, that you might have another one further on if it was proper before you got to the deck. It seems like it would support that. And do you have a deck on that east elevation after the 3J windows? You go,
No.
then it looks as if you
You do, Matt.
Do I?
If
have
you
a
look at
little
the-
deck.
If you look at the J windows to the right of that,
To-
you're looking at the
well,
side of the deck.
I thought that
A
she was
side of the
referring to the
deck, okay.
gable with the 3 windows. I thought she was implying that there was a deck above the side mudroom door. There is a deck to the right.
To the right, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought, Diane, your question was, is there another deck below those 3 second floor windows in the gable? And the answer was no. So
it's I don't know, it's just that east elevation, which seems very busy. The rest of the elevations, I think, fits in very well. I just would like to see the front door a little heavier. And maybe all those dormers and whatever on the east elevation are fine. It's just, to me, it looks kind of busy and pointy. Okay,
mhm.
thank you.
Thanks, Diane. So Matt, it's an attractive building. It's long and it's closer to the road than that existing house that I see on the weekends when I go out to Diana's. So, I'm kind of a little troubled by the white trim, its proximity to the road and its length. I also would like to see, Stephen is asking for a site section. Because there's not a huge amount of grade change there like there are on so many of those other sites that are across the street from the sound. But there is some, and right now, it doesn't look like you're cutting it all. It looks like you're filling everything, to create a platform. Not a lot, but you're only filling. So I would like to see that site section too. So those are my comments. What should I
So
do with
for the
this
whole
for-
for revisions?
Yeah, it's more information, revisions. Okay, so Diana's made a motion to hold for some revisions and more information. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that's that. Now, for what?
No, with that, it looks like if we were saying, and that concludes tonight's episode.
Oh, yeah, no, not quite. So for some reason, I'm not on the others. So the other two applications for this. But Abby is. Abby's the chair.
Oh,
Um,
pay attention.
Just, or Madam Chair, can I make a suggestion regarding the guest house and the garage? These were submitted subsequent to the main house. And so these are reflective of the original submission, which has the steeper roof pitches. So I just wanted, I don't know if it's makes sense to have these second two applications track with the main house.
So
Yeah,
moved.
that's a good idea.
You know,
All in
Motion for
favor?
1819 to track.
Anybody opposed to that idea?
Gonna track.
Yeah.
Tracking. Are you
Oh, no,
opposed?
Diane shares.
We're gonna track, the motion is to track.
That's,
That passes.
that's 17 and 18, John. And so, Diane, you're actually chairing the next one then, which is the
Yep.
final one on
Thank
old
you.
business, which is 8 Bank Street.
Right.
So I'll take a seat over on the side there.
Is Angus here? Oh, good.
No, that's when you're on.
Oh, really? Yeah, thank you.
Do these glasses belong to everybody?
No, everybody's trying to get rid of them.
I knew you would.
Okay, Angus. Are you ready?
Good evening, everyone. Is this on? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Ah, good. Well, this is a new venue. Good to see you all in person. It's been a couple of years. So the last time, well, the first time this was reviewed, it was held for a viewing with height pole. And the height poles went up, did the photographs and the line drawings to sort of block out the shapes of it. At the last meeting, the second meeting, it was reviewed again, and there was a suggestion of breaking up the ridge. And there was concern about, I think about the skylight. So those, about a third of the roof plane has been not dropped a token amount, but eliminated. And there's just a shed roof that sort of works with the contours of the bank that it's adjacent to. And so it's much, now it's taken more of a shape of the upper early buildings of 200, 300 years ago. I'm thinking of a couple up there that have that simple shape, but so that's where we are. Instead of there being a covered porch, there's a pergola, and where there was the gable is a shed roof that breaks from the eave down to the plate height.
All set?
Oh, one other thing, now that I'm looking at this elevation, is that the two doors have been reduced to one door
Okay.
on that east elevation on Bank Street.
Do we have anything on from Sav?
Yes, Madam Chair. So Sconset Advisory did take a look at this yesterday. I was in the Zoom with them. There are quite a bit of butters from Sconset in the meeting. I think I counted about 9. I believe Kathy has forwarded a lot of comments that the commission has received from the neighborhood. And they did speak at the meeting as well. Here's a photo that was, I'll just pass this along, that was actually submitted. I'm sorry, I don't have a digital copy available. As far as, again, this structure is a circa 1930 by the HDC survey, based on information that NPT provided in the past on this, looking at between 1923 to 1926. So obviously this is a contributing structure. I believe I did mention to you all about this is more of a reconstruction. Appreciate the reduction in the massing, and Wisconsin Advisory did as well. Specifically on the east and west elevations, the plans should reflect the existing historic vernacular structure in relationship to the proposed addition. The barn doors, when opened, are still of a concern. Appreciate the removal of the skylight there, and also just questioning on where the chimney is. Wisconsin Advisory did say that the height was discussed in relationship to the bank, the coastal bank there. Obviously, Middle Gully is a public way, and is in keeping it lower. There really wasn't substantial comments from Wisconsin Advisory. Again, they did appreciate the reduction that has been proposed. Just for your comments, just for your knowledge, again, there was probably about 9 people in attendance at the Wisconsin Advisory discussing about the stability of the Middle Gully and the coastal bank, and requesting of a sensitive, this is a sensitive design, but the height is of concern. Bring down the height, and let's see. That was pretty much the gist of it. A lot of it, again, are in the comments that were provided via email. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to be heard in regards to this application? And if they are, if you stand up and go to the great. Tell us your name, and then we'll hear what you got to say.
Good evening. I am Janet Ballou. We own a house at 21 Front Street.
They can't hear you without you going to the mic.
Can you hear me now?
It's for everybody else.
Yeah.
21 Front Street. So we are up by North Gully Road. And during the Zoom meeting yesterday, there was a lot of discussion, a lot of comments were made about the aesthetics, worry about the height, worry about the bank. But there was one consideration that was given by Mr. Hubbs, who lives at Broadway. And I only was not allowed, but I only was able to come in at the very, very, very end of that Zoom, which is why I wanted to stay here and speak to you all today. Mr. Hubbs talked about his concern of the engineering and the weight bearing of Middle Gully Road, should it have to be used as an emergency access. There is concern that, of course, with climate change, that Codfish Park can get compromised. When we purchased Nicanus in 1999, that was a sort of a watershed year of when so many houses had gone out to sea and people were concerned that Codfish Avenue was going to be overwhelmed in the next storms, and they would have to use Middle Gully, Northern Gully Road to get emergency vehicles down there. So that was for me a significant concern about the engineering and the weight bearing of Middle Gully Road, because and I think he was encouraging the town of Nantucket to investigate this, the strength of the road. And I sparked on it because when Hope Chest, right across from Nicanus, was raised and gutted and redone, and they put in a full basement, they eliminated a cistern that had been under Hope Chest, which in the old days was just a stable. And as a result of that solid basement, there is now, anytime there's any kind of rain up at the north end of Front Street, there is significant water which pools, and that people who are walking down Front Street literally have to go up on these beams that are on the edge of Front Street. So that's what I wanted to encourage the town, the commission, to please to investigate the structural integrity of Middle Gully Road, because this building is going to, they are going to have to, I think, remove the tree that is there, and I think it is going to impact the bank.
We have discussed the tree.
At that part. Pardon me?
I said, we have discussed the tree previous to this meeting.
Oh, all right.
So-
Okay.
And I just tell you that the first 6 years we came to Nantucket, we lived at Nicanus.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Well, come see it. We haven't changed a bit of it.
You haven't, oh,
No,
that dining room was knockout for a bunch of us.
it still is. All right.
Thank you very much. Does anybody else like to speak?
I'm Helen Strong, and I'm at 18 Broadway, which is one block in from Front Street. And I think most of this has been covered through the comments of the various people who were on the Zoom call yesterday. But the main problem is that the height of this building would close off an iconic public view shed on Front Street that people just go up and down all the time. You know, our villagers, tourists, photographers, artists are out there a lot. And it's just, would just be a shame to lose that view shed. And also, I think having it so tall would loom over the Middle Gully, which is this iconic sort of little cobbled street that goes down to Sconset Beach. And it would just make, it would just look rather ridiculous to have this huge building right next to Middle Gully Road. You know, it's already almost up there. I mean, I think it's just too big a project for this site. And I think that's what a lot of the neighbors in Sconset feel. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anybody else who would like to speak?
Sitting too long. Hi, thanks for hearing us. I'm Ann Riley, and I brought up the issue of what was going on here, I think, a couple of meetings ago. And really just the same thing, that this is a really, really difficult site to build on. And it looks to us, and you know, we can be corrected if I don't have this right, but that the roof line is going to tower 6 feet above the coastal bank here. And that really does impact the streetscape view that everybody who strolls along Front Street sees. Again, also reiterating the issues about building close to the bank. I mean, as we look at it, we don't really see any houses that are built right against the coastal bank, all the way going from Sankaty down to the Coast Guard station. This would be a first, really, to go take, and you know, it's being proposed as an addition. It doesn't seem like an addition. It seems like the original house will be demolished and a new house built there. So, and then to say nothing of the fact that I think and this is from the Benchley book that recently came out, that the current structure that's there dates from, I think, the late 1800s. So, we've got a historic building there that we're replacing with a new build. And bank issues, and then, perspective issues. When you build a house this close to hover over Front Street, it's not that other houses haven't been built that are similar in height, but when it's a perspective issue, when you bring it this close in, the viewscape is impacted significantly for everybody. So
Thank you.
that's it.
Thank you, thank you. All righty.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
through you, I have a letter that I received right before the meeting, so she asked me to read it into the
oh,
record.
good. Please do.
It's from Peter and Kitty Goldsmith. Please do not let the addition/total gut go through. It is not keeping Wisconsin. It will look ridiculous, way too tall. It will jeopardize the bank of Middle Gully. Seems old Wisconsin is disappearing. So sad. It will never come back with such projects approved. Please stop. We own property at 3 Broadway and 10 Confish Park Road. We have been here for 65 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Madam
All righty.
Chair. Madam Chair. Holly, I just, if it was okay with you, I just wanted for the record, to just touch a bit on the comment about the Middle Gully and the bank itself and the town having the responsibility to look into that.
Yes.
I just want to make it clear for the record, for the public, that yes, that would be obviously something of concern from the, and will be reviewed with engineered drawings, obviously at the building permit stage, but that's not under the purview of this commission. As
Right.
you're all aware, I just want to make that clear for the record. Obviously, coastal resiliency, as you all are aware, is very important. The stabilization of our coast is very important. Obviously, the town is going through a coastal resiliency planning process. Very important key notes on the topic of the date of this structure. While I agree, we do have some information on the age of approximation. It would be beneficial to have more information on that.
Okay, so we could ask for more information.
Yes, and on the note that this is an addition, I think I've reflected it in the record for the 2 times that this has been reviewed by you all, that this is more of a reconstruction under the Secretary of Interior standards, not an addition. Thank you, Madam
Okay.
Chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. So we will go now to the commissioners. You're all ready. Angus, you got something you want to say?
Madam Chair, I just wanted to clarify a couple of things. When this was reviewed yesterday by Wisconsin Advisory, they pretty much defended and complimented the current proposal. There weren't any negative comments about it. There wasn't discussion about the doors. It was about proportions and the simplicity of it. I'd like to clarify that as much as someone can say that this is 6 feet above the bank, I've done a horizontal shot from the fence that you see up to the left of the bank that is basically level from the fence on front to the fence on the mid gully side. And this was about 6 inches higher than that. And the fence is 30 inches. So I approximate the height of this above Front Street to be approximately 3 feet or waist height. The current proposal actually, this doesn't represent the current proposal because the ridge isn't that high in this position. It would be cut back and stepped down. But also, I just want to say that even though the building in Codfish Park has dramatically changed over the past 15 years or so, the past couple of years, there's a graph that we used in our previous meeting, Wisconsin Advisory, but pretty much everything that's been built new there or added on to has been in excess of 22 feet, 22 and a half, 23 and a half, 24 and a half. This is
Wow, that
this is 21. But also, if you use the analogy of this being a theater and the water being the stage, this is the back row, and then everything on Front Street is in the balcony. So it's not really affecting views as being as some are saying it is. Also from Gully on, or actually eastward look, which is kind of to the right of this truck in the picture. It's really the last house on Front Street on the east or water side. And that does, like all the other houses on the east side of Front Street, obstruct the view of the water and of Codfish Park.
All right.
So from that point on, it's, it almost becomes a tunnel. So this isn't going to change any view to any dramatic degree.
All right, well, let's get the commissioners to see what they have to say, and then we'll go on from there. Abby,
So I have a couple of questions. So how tall is the existing building? Okay. This is really hard. This is a very hard site to build on, my God.
Most sheds are 15 feet high these days.
Yeah. My concern is the solid impact, the massing of this building on this site. I guess there's a reason that the existing building is the size it is. I mean, it probably, I can just see them taking the corner and saying, okay, we can put a thing here and a thing here and a thing, and that's about it. But, so I think, and thank you for taking off that edge, that the revisions, that far left, having that slope down, making a shed there. I appreciate that. I still think this building could come down. And I think it's pretty hard. We've had some other projects down there recently, and I think one of them was really successful. I'm not sure what's happening with the next one. I think it's going to be too tall. So I'm worried about making, making a mistake down there. And I've been walking there most days, walking around, looking at the buildings, and they're all pretty small. The typical style of a Codfish Park building is very, very small. But as I said before, if anybody can do it, it's you, Angus, because you have that sensitivity about Sconset and other things you've done. So I'd like to see it still come down, and but I think some of the other elevations are successful. So it's just the massing.
thank you.
Thank you.
Carrie,
I totally appreciate the form that this building has taken. I think the proportions are great. It reads so much better to me. I'm just wondering, to mitigate the presence on that corner, can you push it all the way to the end of the property? And that would take care of 5.5 feet of opening up that corner that is iconically a tiny little mass on that corner. And you have that here. It's a different mass. It's not the funny little roof that was there, but the shed is lovely. And if it could simply push back.
It's in the 5-foot setback. And that's really 6 foot.
let her finish what she has to say,
Yeah,
okay?
for some reason, I thought the setback was 0 because on the front, you're adding where you're adding footprint, that's not adhering to the front setback. So is the front 0 and the sides are 5, that's the deal? Yeah, because other than that, I think I really respect this form that it's taken. It reads very traditionally old shed barn. The height is the issue. I wonder if just, because I think the proportions are lovely, if you could skinny it up, therefore drop it down a little bit to retain the proportion, but just reduce it the tiniest bit to not read as big as it does on that important corner. I totally appreciate your changes.
Thank you. Johnny,
No comment.
nothing? I would like to see if, because I know what that view is over, and I know that the plan you had up there brought it up. I don't know what they say, startling high, but the existing structure and the proposed addition comes is it 31 feet, Angus?
20 feet, 9 inches.
That's the height, right? I'm talking about the length. Not the height. I thought it's, you know what it is.
It's whatever the existing is plus the 6'8". I don't have that.
And then the 5'4". That's a retaining wall, I believe. So anyway, I would like to see it shortened. I would like to see it shortened to, because I am totally against taking that tree down. Trees in Wisconsin, particularly on the Gully Road and the rest of it, are in short supply. And it's been there for a long time. It's not a 6-year tree or a 10-year tree or even a 40-year tree. And I think that it should be saved and not cut down to make a addition to a building that is pretty historic in its location and age. So I would like to see if we could drop it down a little bit further and shorten it to the point where you protect the stuff around it. It's part of our mission is to have buildings that fit in with the surrounding area. And that's what I think it does. And it's a good addition. It's just, it needs to be made a little smaller, if you would. So perhaps if we could have a motion for more information and slight revisions.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you very much. Everybody who's in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed to that? No. So thank you, Angus. I'm sure we'll work it out. Just to give us a little more time, all right?
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, have a good night.
We all know your work.
It's been so frustrating to watch such a destructive change to Codfish Park. Living out there for as long as I have, but specifically the years that I've been sitting on the historic structures, I mean, the Wisconsin Advisory Board, I've gotten to see firsthand so many buildings that have been larger than this, that aren't simple, that don't fit in with the flavor of Codfish Park in
You're
Wisconsin.
absolutely right.
And this is really the only lot that hasn't been supersized. And I'm looking back to bring back some of the history as opposed to just more of the architecture that's been developed there. And it's, I'm disappointed that this isn't being accepted with.
Well, I think we're trying
more.
to keep the architecture the way it was, following the old building. We're not, certainly not wanting to put up a modern type building there at all. But the commission feels strongly about different parts of it, so you have to bear with us as we do you, so.
I appreciate that, and we'll do what we can. It's, yeah, it's,
Madam
yeah,
Chairperson?
thank you.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, just let him finish speaking.
I'm sorry?
I said I just wanted Angus to finish speaking, and then we will do that.
It's there's so much history that has been removed from Codfish Park, but this won't have anything to do with that, because as I've pointed out before, the windows are new, the doors are new, the chimney's new, the roof lines are new. The block foundation is new and failing. And so it will have to be replaced, even if we replace the house just as is. And in doing that, that'll involve the excavation and, preparation to be able to do that. As far as the trees, there were 4 trees a year ago. And the RVs cut 3 that were on that bank between their house and this house. So this is the last one left. And yeah, it was too bad to lose the others.
I'll
But-
chain myself to this one.
I would too.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, no, trees need to be planted. Nobody's done that. It's just like, the Lorax and clear cutting so far. That hasn't been our, yeah.
We're working
Thank you.
out. Just
I appreciate it. Thank
thanks a
you.
lot, Angus. Thanks a lot. Do we have anything we have to sign? What are we voting on?
Good night.
Question was already there.
Well, I have a schedule for August and September meeting
Yes.
schedule. I just want you to look at and vote on, and then maybe approve the minutes.
Yeah,
From-
what minutes would you like us to approve?
The minutes are from June 29th and July 1st.
My birthday. So can I have a thing for vote for approving June 29th and July 1?
So moved.
All right, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye. Anybody
Aye.
opposed?
And everybody is getting a,
So we're done.
Yes.
we're done. Everybody take this.
Wait.
I have mine at home.
Okay. Motion to approve the meeting schedule.
All right, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed?
No.
No. Okay, Johnny. Say it.
Motion to adjourn
Thank you.
at 9 PM.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
you-
9 PM.
All in favor?
All in favor? Oh,
Aye.
you should be doing that. Thank you very much.
Did they slip in a Monday here on us?